things really starting to tighten up now. Unfortunately, this is
this is a large tornado.
Yeah, this is a very large velocity signature at this point that we're continuing to track. We're going to watch this over the next 30 minutes as that tracks up. Cameron, where are you now? How far away are you from this?
Let me measure it out. I just left Great Bend, so I'm a ways away, but that is my trajectory is there.
Okay.
To measure it out, I am about 60 miles.
Okay. All right. So let's get back over to KAKE's first alert Doppler where we get Cameron getting position here. So again, cannot stress enough, if you're in and around Greensburg, you need to already be in your shelters at this point. If not, it is time to shelter once again. The velocity data just continues to increase on this, unfortunately. I mean, we knew that there was going to be the possibility of seeing, you know, some more significant stuff tonight, and sure enough, it's happening in Kiowa County. Very distinct hook echo. Let me go back over, and we're going to look at, let's go back to Dodge. Let's go look at the row HV here, and we're going to go over the past 30 minutes. This is what we use for debris detection, and so right here would be the tip of it, and I guess it's a real noisy pattern. So I was just trying to figure out if the Weather Service is using this noisy pattern to try to confirm it, or if we actually have a chaser or somebody nearby. But just based on the velocity signature alone, yeah, unfortunately, this is one of the stronger signatures that we have seen through the night here. And this is kind of what we feared. We knew that the atmosphere was going to be primed in order to do this. And now we're going to roll it forward over the past 30 minutes. And this is continuing to track in the general direction of Greensburg. Cannot emphasize enough. Get to your shelters, please, as this continues to track towards you. Let's go back over to the Dodge City, and we're just going to use the velocity on this one. And there's a really hot stinger there. Where you see the yellow touch the green, I'm going to zoom in hyper tight so we can get some county roads maybe labeled up here. So there you go. That is Avenue 19. There's 21st Avenue and Oil Well Road. So that is the location where that circulation is now, and probably, you know, pretty significant tornado on the ground at this point. So far we're using radar and probably, you know, Doppler radar, the dual pole, to try to confirm it here, but this continues to move towards the town of Greensburg. So we're going to stay with this coverage because we have this signature. Meteorologist Cameron Venables in western Kansas, so he's in his way on down there. I got, meteorologist Hannah Dennis over here. So Hannah, as you get, anything from the Dodge City office, let's go ahead and get that turned on TV. But I can't stress enough, Greensburg all the way to Haviland, you should be seeking shelter as this storm circulation continues to track over to the northeast. This is the storm of the moment now in all of KAKE land as that tornado and that circulation continues tracking over towards Greensburg. So we'll continue to watch that for you, and we'll continue to watch that as it continues over towards US 183. Boy, the latest sweep of the radar, it just continues to get stronger and stronger at this point. Hannah, anything else coming out of Dodge City?
No, they have not said anything since the last update of issuing that tornado warning that kind of extended it. They've kind of been quiet. There has been some typing that shows that they have been typing, but they haven't said anything specific as of right now. As soon as they send something, I will chime back in and let you know. But for everyone that is in that tornado warning polygon, just make sure you get in your safe space, the lowest floor of your home, interior room, that's a bathroom, a closet, an interior hallway. If you have a basement, get in your basement, because these tornadoes that have spun up today have been pretty serious. We have been seeing some of that damage, especially the one that went through Grinnell. So this could be a pretty dangerous situation, especially at night when it's really hard to see those tornadoes. Jay?
Okay, let's give you an update on the position. It is now just 8 miles to the southwest, and it's heading right towards Greensburg at this point in time. If you're not in your shelters now, you need to get there, because this one is moving right in your direction. Let's go over and take a look at that velocity data once again. So let's go over to Dodge City, and let's go over to the base velocity, and we're going to roll it over the past 30 minutes. We're going to track this as it continues to make its way towards 183 at this point. We're going to zoom in tighter. I'm going to include Greensburg at the top of the screen. But, okay, that circulation may be weakening, but another circulation out ahead of it may be taking over. So just because this one isn't as strong, we're not done with the threat. This could be a new circulation developing to the east, a little closer to 183. That may become the new dominant circulation with the tornado threat. So let's stay hunkered down, Greensburg. We may get lucky in this one weekend. This takes over and it would miss town here, but this is still a strongly rotating thunderstorm just to the west of 183. And then you got the other thunderstorm there. This could be a new circulation trying to take over, but that very strong rotation is weaker here. So what was coming up, which was very likely a tornado on the ground, may still be a tornado being produced, but it's not quite as strong at this point. But we don't know if this one's starting to kind of include and a new circulation is going to take over and kind of take its place as this crosses US 183. So Greensburg, Brenham, over towards Haviland, you already got to be down in your shelters. Hopefully we're just going to waste your time tonight and not see a strike. But this is still a very scary signature that we're seeing on radar. And now the entire state of Kansas, this is the storm of the moment. And unfortunately, this is kind of what we were. Let's go back over to meteorologist Cameron Venable. Cameron?
All right, Jay, so it sounds like the Weather Service originally confirmed it based on dual polarization data. However, I do have a spotter network report 11 miles south-southwest of Greensburg at 9:38 p.m. Tornado in progress to my northwest, still on the ground. So once again, that was at 9:38 p.m., 11 miles south-southwest of Greensburg. There was a confirmed tornado in progress.
Fantastic. Okay, yeah, thanks. That's exactly the kind of information we were looking for, Cameron. Thank you for passing that along. So that was in addition to the dual polarization. That's a spot report, and that was at 38. So that was just 4 minutes ago. So that confirms that the tornado is still in progress. Now, what's around Maxville and Larned right now? Sure, we've still got, thunderstorms that we're watching. We would have to get this kind of congeal into one bigger thunderstorm, but obviously the storm of the moment is what's going on in Kiowa County. Still that very classic hook echo. Let's go back over to the velocity here, and we're going to see if that new circulation is going to potentially take over for that one. So here we go. Let's roll that. Okay, this is starting to become more dominant now. So that circulation's weakening. You see where this is picking up the blue here? So this is becoming more dominant. So we may have one tornado that's potentially starting to weaken and another tornado either on the ground and strengthening or about to form. And all this is south of town, just due south on 183. So as we go south of 183, it's about 7 miles due south. That's where it looks like the new circulation is starting to become more dominant in the storm. The only good news is if that becomes a more dominant circulation, it at least increases the odds that it would miss Greensburg over on the east side instead of taking more of a direct hit, because that original circulation, the way it was moving, that would be more of a unfortunately, a direct hit over towards Greensburg. So hopefully this becomes the new dominant one and we miss town with that. But if you're south of town, anywhere on 183, you should already be down in your shelters at this point. And as this continues to track towards the north, tell you what, and if you get a chance and you can plot some of those storm reports on top of a map, we could take a look at some of those. But this is continuing to be a very dangerous situation in Kiowa County tonight. First circulation, first confirmed tornado. Don't know if that's still spinning or not, could be, but definitely got a second circulation that's trying to kind of overtake it at this point. And this would be the new tornado, if you will. So if that one spins down, this one's going to take over. And that's going to be a really close call, as that's going to approach 400 close to Greensburg, between Greensburg and Haviland. You should go ahead and be down in those shelters as that continues to track your way. Let me go back over to basically the reflectivity mode of the radar at this point. And tell you what, no, you know what, I'm going to go back and use Dodge City again. Let's go to Dodge. We're going to go to that base reflectivity. It's that classic hook echo, unfortunately. Now that is what I don't want to see. See that donut hole right there? That is telling me that new circulation that developed, that new dominant circulation, very likely, yeah, putting down another tornado right there. So as far as the distance from Greensburg at this point, there you go. This is only about 6 miles down to the southwest. So that is bounded weak echo region at this point. There's your area of circulation, only about 6 miles now to the southwest of Greensburg. Stay in your shelters, folks. Let's get this storm through here and see what happens. But anywhere from Greensburg, east of Greensburg, over towards Haviland, you should already be in your shelters. That is a very clear bounded weak echo region. So now let's go back over to radar, Dodge City, base velocity. And okay, yeah, the new circulation, that's stronger than what we had before. So this is now an even stronger Doppler radar signature than what we had. I'm going to just kind of expand the view a little bit so you can see what I'm talking about. First signature came up right there, dissipates, new signature taking over. And the fact that we're seeing circulation there and there, we may have multiple tornadoes going on at the same time. This is indicative of a very powerful thunderstorm that's moving through Kiowa County tonight. So anywhere around Greensburg, south of Greensburg to the east towards Haviland, if you're not in your shelter now, that must be rushed to completion as soon as possible. We have a very violent thunderstorm in progress, very large, violent tornado likely in progress just south of Greensburg on 183. And that will continue to move towards the east-northeast. So Greensburg, you should already be sheltered at this point. Haviland, you should be sheltered. This velocity signature is unfortunately only growing and getting stronger at this point. I'm going to zoom in for you. Wind going away from the radar dodge towards. It's about as strong as you're going to get in terms of velocity signature, unfortunately. And notice how this is just reorganized over the past 10 minutes. We had tornado number 1 that was confirmed and reported. That tornado very likely has dissipated because what's left of that circulation is what's back here. Now notice how this one has taken over in just about the past 10 minutes and become a stronger circulation than what we saw to begin with. So odds are we're seeing a violent tornado in progress south of Greensburg in Kiowa County tonight. Let's go over to the ROHV. This is the dual polarization product. And pretty soon, within the next sweep or two, I won't be surprised if we see a really kind of a darker blue spot in there. If we do, that would be confirmation that we're getting debris lofted up into the radar beam from this. Not really a good solid indication at this point. We go back over to the velocity though. The velocities, this is, this is sad to see. But that is a very strong indication here. We'll go back over the past 30 minutes. I'm going to expand the view just enough. We'll get Greensburg back in the screen. This is going to be an awfully close call. So there's your circulation right there. Looks like another one may be trying to take over in front of it again. So we may be getting multiple things where a tornado puts down a large tornado. That occludes and another circulation starts to pop up here. So I can't stress enough, if you live in Kiowa County, anywhere Greensburg to the south and off to the east, all the way over to Haviland, you need to be seeking shelter right now. You need to already be in your shelters. We're going to let this thunderstorm roll to the north, but given the state of the atmosphere, this could produce multiple tornadoes. So just because, we get this through here, okay, the Weather Service and Dodge issuing, they've expanded the tornado warning. They made the box even bigger now.
They actually issued a tornado emergency.
Okay,
for
you want to read the text for us?
Yeah, so they issued a tornado emergency for Greensburg, northeastern Kiowa County in south central Kansas until 10:30 p.m. tonight. At 9:47 p.m., a confirmed large and destructive tornado was observed near Greensburg, moving northeast at 30 miles an hour. Tornado emergency for Greensburg. This is a particularly dangerous situation. Take cover now. So they are saying this could be a deadly tornado.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just like I said, based on the velocity data we're seeing here, unfortunately, and it just continues to get stronger. Now, in terms of its location from the intersection of 400 and US 183, it's only about 5 miles to the south. So let me stop this. I'm going to zoom in even tighter, just to kind of give you the perspective, give you a road grid here. We'll continue zooming on in, get some of the county roads to start popping up. There's County Road N and East Fork, Rattlesnake Creek. That's where the heart of the circulation is at this point. And this will continue moving to the northeast unless another circulation takes over ahead of it, but this is just so powerful right now. Anybody around Greensburg, especially to the south, east on 400 over towards Haviland, this is the strongest thing that we have seen tonight in the entire state of Kansas. We've already had a tornado heavily damage Grinnell in northwest Kansas, And now these radar indications, unfortunately, of a stronger, probably more violent tornado in progress in Kiowa County tonight. And you got to remember, we have a lot of atmosphere for this cell to work with. So as it moves through Kiowa County, and we're talking about Greensburg and over towards Haviland now, this is your heads up. Edwards County, the eastern half of Edwards County, western Pratt County, and eventually getting into Stafford County. So, you know, places like Maxville, places like St. John. You need to keep an eye on this storm because as it moves towards you, the atmosphere has enough energy and shear where there's no reason this tornado wouldn't continue to develop. Still got the very strong velocity signatures here, and that's why we're going to continue the coverage until this storm weakens, and it has not weakened at all. From the center of Greensburg, that storm circulation now 4 miles to the south. So the southern edge of town starting to move through now, and that will continue to track from Greensburg off towards the east, crossing 400 at this point. A very violent and life-threatening situation ongoing in Kiowa County tonight. The Weather Service issuing the tornado emergency, sadly for Greensburg once again, but this is 4 miles to the south and be heading over towards the east. Oh, just got the latest sweep of the radar in. Unfortunately, still continue that very violent rotation, so we're going to stop it. Zoom in tighter here, show you where that circulation is in terms of to the east of US 183. We get in hyper tight. Okay, there is Fork Rattlesnake Creek Road, M Street, 31st Avenue. So that is where the heart of the circulation is with the tornado warning. Let's go over to Dodge City. We're going to look at the ROHV. This is the debris detection. I remember we're far enough away from Dodge where we'd really have to loft that really high to get it in there. But you can kind of make out that maybe south of town there's a little bit of a signature there, but just based on the velocity signature alone and the fact that spotter's been reported, this is probably just a violent tornado that is in progress currently right close to Greensburg. It's going to be the south side over to the east and then crossing 400 and continuing on overnight tonight. Wouldn't be surprised if tornado watch is extended a little later because initially this county under the watch was until 10 o'clock. They may extend that over until about 1 a.m. But this is a very, very scary, very dangerous signature that we've got on Doppler radar tonight. And just kind of expanding the view to show you what else is going on across southwest and western Kansas. We switch over to the reflectivity mode of the radar so you can just check for other thunderstorms at this point.
They did extend that tornado watch until midnight tonight. Okay,
so the tornado watch has been extended. Other thunderstorms in Barton County, not severe. In Pawnee County and Stafford County, not severe. This is it. This is the storm of the moment in the entire state of Kansas. And unfortunately, okay, see that wobble around? Very clear bounded weak echo region. That pretty much confirms that there's a violent tornado in progress going on here.
There is confirmation that it is on the ground. There are people starting to see it.
Okay, all right. This is what we feared. We knew that you're far enough away from the radar, getting that debris signature, getting the stuff lofted high enough isn't always guaranteed. But with that kind of bounded weak echo region right there, you see basically the donut hole in the reflectivity. You know that there's a violent tornado in progress here. Just kind of getting an update. Cameron, you know how far out you are at this point. I'm just curious if you got anything on your horizon, if you're seeing any lightning or anything for this.
I have a storm in front of me, Jay, but I'm about 30 miles away now. And okay. Yeah, like you said, the bounded weak echo region is very evident on that storm.
You think you're seeing the lightning? You think you're seeing the lightning from the anvil of the storm that's over Kiowa County?
No, it's a storm in front of it.
Okay. All right. Let's go back.
It's the one up near Maxville. That's the lightning I'm seeing.
Okay. Let's get back over to KAKE's first alert Doppler here. There's that area circulation. Again, it's south of town here. I don't know. I forget how far south of 400 Greensburg extends. So I'm going to pause this. We're going to zoom in really closely here and show you basically where the bounded weak echo region is, which is a pretty good approximation of where the circulation would be. So there's L Street, there's 31st Avenue, there's 33rd Avenue. And notice as you pan up to the north here, that's when you kind of start getting more into town. So, you know what? So it's down here south, a couple of miles from the edge of town. Maybe it's going to miss most of town here. It's going to be a pretty close call. Let's go back over to the velocity data. Go over to Dodge setting. There's your base velocity, and there's your area rotation, which matches up with the bounded weak echo region, or basically the donut hole. Still seeing very strong rotation with this storm.
Jay, I have the CanDrive camera pulled up right behind me. This is US 54 at US 400 in Mullinville. You can just see it's hard, it's really grainy, but all of this lightning is from this storm. It's kind of looking towards where that Greensburg is, where the tornado is potentially approaching right now. And I try to pull up that camera, it's not loading, but with the amount of lightning that is going on, this is going to be a really noisy storm as well as it is moving across. But from what spotters have been saying, this is an extremely large wedge tornado that is still currently on the ground right now. Jay?
Absolutely, unfortunately. Now, there's your hook echo. So it looks like, you know, east of Greensburg, southeast of town here. At this point, just based on the pure radar indications, it looks like the heart of the circulation, or the worst part of the tornado, may not get into town itself, but it's going to be an awfully close call with this one. Southern edge, southeastern edge, and then crossing 400 between Greensburg and Haviland, as we still continue that tornado warning for Kiowa County. So now let's get back over and take a look at that velocity data again. Unfortunately, still very strong velocity here. There's that area of circulation. It continues now. But again, it looks like south of Greensburg, maybe southeast of Greensburg, it looks like the worst of the circulation is not going to go over the heart of town. Be more kind of the south and southeast edge as that continues crossing 400. So you got to stay down in your shelters anywhere from Greensburg all the way over towards Haviland. And I can't emphasize enough that we're trying to warn you downstream here, just based on the atmosphere and the energy available, and with the direction of movement. Byers, Maxville, maybe even Stafford, you need to take this as your first alert that if this thing holds together, it could still potentially produce tornadoes. If we go back to the night of the other Greensburg tornado, that storm continued to produce multiple tornadoes as that moved across parts of Edwards County, Pratt, Stafford, and it finally become what we call outflow dominant as that got up into parts, you know, of Barton, Rice, and Ellsworth before that changed. So we still have the tornado in progress in Kiowa County now. That's where we have the tornado warnings for Kiowa County and for Edwards County. But I wouldn't be surprised if this gets reorganized and has the potential to continue tornadoes deeper into Edwards County, potentially into northwest Pratt County as that continues to move on. So let's zoom back in and let's get you started all over again with the tornado warning for Kiowa County. There's the strongest circulation, and you know what? There's another weak circulation redeveloping around Greensburg. Stay down in your shelters, stay down in your shelters, even though this is the dominant one now. This is the strongest one that's moved south of town, starting to move more east of Greensburg. So I'm gonna stop it, and we're gonna throw the map on top of it here, so you can kind of get a gauge where it is compared to town. So we're gonna zoom in a little bit tighter, and that, you know, worst area of circulation, there we go. See, that's where you get into town over there, Scott Avenue and 31st. The worst circulation, though, we continue to watch, and now that's more over towards 35th Avenue, between 33rd Avenue, between K and L Street. So I don't think the tornado is going to go right through town, unfortunately, like the last one did. So this circulation looks like it's going to be south into the east. We're going to see if that tightens up over the next couple of minutes here, but this is clearly the dominant circulation. Now southeast of Greensburg, the southeast edge, it's going to be crossing 400 between Greensburg and Haviland. So we'll continue to keep updated here. If we got any kind of additional reports out of Dodge City, Hannah, kind of moving this forward here as far as what's going. And how about even a check back in with that KAKE camera? Is that still very electrical with that? So we'll continue to look at that as that continues to move across Kiowa County. Okay, getting farther away from Greensburg now. So Greensburg, stay down in your shelters for now, but the tornado threat is already starting to get more east of you, and it's going to start moving away very soon. I think it's been as close as it's going to get at this point, and now we're going to start to put more distance between you and that storm, as that's very quickly going to be crossing 400, very large circulation with that. So let's go back over to meteorologist Hannah Dennis. Hannah, I see you got that KAKE camera back.
Yes, I do, and it's still really lighting up a lot. Not as much as it was just a few minutes ago, but it is still showing a considerable amount of lightning that is being paired with this storm and the tornado that is kind of moving across right now. So it is going to be something that spotters are hopefully going to be able to catch glimpses of it. One of the reports of the tornado, the National Weather Service said there was a photo attached to it. I'm going to see if I can find that to show you guys. But currently, right now, I don't have any images of this tornado, but this has been confirmed by a few spotters now that it was on the ground and it could potentially still be on the ground. I haven't got a really new update besides that. Jay?
All right, thanks a lot, Hannah. So here's your latest radar update. There's the area of circulation. So it's moving away from Greensburg now. It's moving across over top of Brenham. So you've already had as close a call as you're going to have tonight in Greensburg. Conditions there will be improving. The question is, could this be the next circulation that's going to become the new tornado? Like I said, if you go back and you take a look at some of these high-end thunderstorms, they will produce more than one tornado. It produces a very large tornado, a violent tornado. It then kind of wraps into itself and occludes, but yet another circulation takes over from the east and another tornado is formed once again. This kind of cycling is not abnormal for events like this. So now we're playing watch and wait to see if this is going to be the next one. But the good news is, at least right now, Greensburg, it's moving away from you, okay? So whatever has happened with a tornado, it's already moved on by. It's now east of you. It's going to be crossing 400 between Greensburg and Haviland. So if you're anywhere around Brenham, you need to still be down in your shelters at this point. So now let's go back over and let's go to the ROHV and see if there's been any kind of debris signature with this. We go forward here, and you know, you can kind of make out here that the fact that it's a little bit, you know, lowered, possibly that's confirming it's not really a, you know, screaming at you, but you could potentially see some lowering of what's called the correlation coefficient that we use for that. Let's go back over to the reflectivity mode of the radar. This is what we're used to seeing most of the time. There's your hook. There is, you know, the little bounded weak echo region, if that's what's still left of it there. So we can track it. Again, south of Greensburg, southeast, over towards Brenham. It looks like, and I'm going to zoom in hyper tight to the city grid, I still think within town itself, probably didn't hit. So, you know, there you can kind of see it showing up a little bit more. Yeah, and it's really close. If it was the extreme south edge and southeast edge of town, down over towards K Street and 31st. So we'll see, because there's Greensburg proper. Again, everything's moving away from you now. So if you've been in your shelters in Greensburg, pretty soon you're going to be able to come out of there. But between Greensburg and Haviland, you need to stay down in your shelters. It's crossing 400 as we speak at the moment. We'll continue backing up the view. Now we're going to slide over. There we go. Kiowa County, north of 400. This is northeastern Kiowa County. You should still be exercising those tornado precautions. If you're in southern Edwards County, if you're anywhere east of Centerview, you need to exercise those tornado precautions. In Pratt County, if you're west of Cullison, if you're around Hopewell, if you're around Byers, you need to take those tornado precautions as we speak. I know you're not under a warning right now, but as this continues, moving towards the northeast, and I can't emphasize enough, the state of the atmosphere is going to support one or two storms that will be very large, that have the capability to produce violent tornadoes. This is what we've been concerned about the whole time. We knew we weren't going to have a whole bunch of storms pop up with tornadoes, that we were going to have the potential for a handful. But out of those handful, that's what we were concerned about. Let's go to meteorologist Cameron Venable. Cameron?
Jay, I have an update on potential new tornado. It is 1 mile west of 183 and 1 mile north of the Comanche County line. Also, I am seeing photos of power poles snapped south of Greensburg.
All right, thanks a lot, Cameron. Let's get back over to KAKE's first alert Doppler, and we will pan on down to the south. So this would be new circulation down here that currently is not warned that Cameron's talking about. So we'll continue to slide on down to the south. So that's down southern parts here, moving out of Comanche County into southern Kiowa. And let's look over the velocity data and see if we can pick up that area of circulation there. So let's go over to Dodge City. Let's go over to the base velocity. And there you can make out the area of circulation again. So this is still the big one. Okay, it's crossing 400 as we speak, but it looks like another tornado, this is what Cameron was talking about, is developed 1 mile west of 183 here in southern Kiowa County. Now, just based on the movement of this one, not really concerned for the city of Greensburg for that. This would more be of a potential for Haviland. So if you're in Haviland, you need to keep your eye on this. Now, I want to emphasize what Cameron just gave you heads up on is this is a tornado that is developed that is currently not warned by the National Weather Service. I'm sure there's going to be a warning coming out really soon here, but we got spot reports confirming a tornado there. And the latest velocity data shows this really clearly right on 400 now. That's a tornado very likely in progress that's crossing 400. Again, between Greensburg and Haviland is this tornado. We're going to see if another one spins up here, but we talked about that there was reorganization. That has occurred. So we got another tornado on 400 right now. And I'm going to pan down to the south and get you updated on what Cameron just shared with us. This area of circulation did get reports of a tornado. This is right on US 183 at this point. That's only about 3 miles north of the county line with Comanche County. So that's now to the north. That's going to be tracking northeast, and that's going to be more of an impact for Haviland. Right now it's between Greensburg and Haviland. It's Brenham that we're most concerned about that tornado threat, but this storm will continue. And I can't keep emphasizing enough here, if you're upstream from this, you need to keep an eye on it. Truesdale, Maxville, Byers, all potentially in the path of not necessarily this tornado, but this thunderstorm developing more tornadoes as we go through the night tonight. So this is a very dangerous situation here. We've already confirmed there's a tornado. We're still waiting to confirm what kind of damage potentially has occurred with this. So as we continue to get more information, we're going to pass that along to you between Greensburg and Haviland. And a little circulation kind of starting up there. Let's go over to meteorologist Hannah Dennis. Hannah?
Yes, so just kind of another reminder, because these tornadoes just have been happening a lot tonight. Just your safe spots can be just an interior room on the lowest floor of your home, whether that's on the first floor or if you have a basement. That is going to be the best place that you can be. You want an interior room because you don't want to be around any windows, because you could have flying debris that could come through those windows and cause some damage. Give me just a moment here. I'm going to pull up a tornado that we had earlier. This was from Scott City. And you can see these are kind of the tornadoes that we have been seeing throughout the afternoon and evening. We kind of been watching these tornadoes get spun up across parts of Kansas, and they have caused some damage, like out in Grinnell. So something that is just kind of been off and on throughout the day today, and now it's just kind of being really continuous and with a kind of a larger, more stronger tornado than we have seen throughout most of the afternoon and evening. Jay?
All right, thanks a lot, Hannah. And unfortunately, this velocity signature is spinning up and getting very bad once again. The only good news is it's past Greensburg, it's past Haviland at this point, and it continues north of 400. So let's zoom in a little bit tighter here. And as we do, this unfortunately, wind going back towards the radar, wind going away, it's getting worse. So this is going to continue to be a problem. We have an atmosphere that is going to want to produce tornadoes from a handful of storms. You'll notice the Weather Service has now issued a tornado warning for what Cameron was talking to us about. Matter of fact, let's go down to meteorologist Cameron Venable. Cameron, get us spun up.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what are your thoughts on that new cell that's approaching the big supercell? It's about to go through a cell merger. Do you think that's going to interrupt the tornado that's been in progress, that larger tornado, because sometimes that does happen. And so that's an interesting development that's happening right now as we speak, and that's the cell that just got tornado warned.
You know,
so I'm wondering if maybe that's going to interrupt it.
You know, I hope so, because you've seen how the velocity has just taken off on this thing north of 400 and gotten a lot worse. So I'm really hoping that this cell that, now correct me, you did, who confirmed the tornado with the southern thing, the second one that was just came out of Comanche County? Was that
emergency management.
Okay, that was emergency manager. Okay, so and you know we got the hook on the backside there. Let's face it, that one's not nearly as big as what we had. Okay, that is. No. I mean, that is a much, that at least at this point it's weaker. But what is now crossing 400? This is another major. This is another violent tornado that's in progress right now. It's amazing that we have not had the debris signatures kicked up. I guess we're too far away to get that, but hopefully, I mean, we're starting to get the cell merger as we speak in real time, but my goodness, Cameron, I mean, I can't think of the last time, you know, we saw velocities this strong. Go back over to Dodge and the base velocities, and I mean, this is, okay, this is just sad is what it is.
Seeing velocities like this.
Cameron? You saw the latest.
Oh my God, look at that latest scan, Jay.
I've been here 21 years. Seeing Doppler radar imagery like this is exceedingly rare. This is a very life-threatening situation. If you are in Kiowa County tonight, if you are in northeastern Kiowa County, if you live north of US 400, east of Greensburg, north of Haviland, you need to be in your shelters for the duration of this thunderstorm until it finally gets into an atmosphere where it's going to run out of gas. This is an extremely violent rotational signature on Doppler radar. That's something they're going to be talking about. And that is continuing now north of 400. This is as strong as this signature has been this evening, even when it was producing confirmed tornadoes southwest of Greensburg. So we got to wait now and just see what kind of damage reports are going to come in. But this is a life-threatening situation where you need to be down in your shelters, and upstream, you need to be aware of this. I know the warning right now is for Kiowa County and extreme western Pratt County. And we're watching this other circulation down here to see if this becomes more intense. Did have reported tornado from from emergency management west of 183. New circulation starting to develop right there. And that circulation that almost took a due east. That thing's getting so tight, it's making a turn to the right. So that's why if you're anywhere in northeastern Kiowa County, you need to be sheltered. If you are northwest of Pratt, you need to be sheltered. Hopewell, Byers. If you live in Maxville, if you live in St. John, you need to keep an eye on this thunderstorm because we have an atmosphere with a lot of energy available. So until this storm finally runs out of gas, this will be a life-threatening situation. Sadly, this is what we feared a couple of days out, that the setup was going to happen. And unfortunately, it is unfolding. I was kind of hoping that if we keep the individual thunderstorms at bay until after about 10:30, 11 o'clock, we'd finally be out of this situation. But now that we're past sunset, the shear profiles in the atmosphere have improved, which is allowing this to occur. So I can't emphasize enough just how bad this is. And looks like it's made a turn to the east. Haviland, you got to stay down in your shelters right now. Matter of fact, I'm going to scrub through this. I'm going to roll the card over here. We're going to do some analysis. So as we go back in time, as it was crossing 400, I want you to keep an eye right here, Brennan. So there you go. There's your tornadic circulation. Big tornado crosses. And then that very violent signature, and then watch what happens to the east of it. We start developing yet another signature. So we're probably getting cycles here. We're probably getting multiple tornadoes. The tornadoes that are getting formed are all strong to violent. And this will be pretty much along and north of US 400. So can't stress enough here exactly how dire this situation is. Other storms that we're watching here, this is southern Kiowa County now, under a tornado warning. These areas of circulation, we're going to continue to watch to see if they develop. Earlier, this one is what produced the tornado on the west side of 183. So I'm going to go slide back here a little bit. There you go. This is about the time that tornado was reported on the west side. And then you look down here. As we roll forward in time, there comes your next circulation starting to develop. But that's not nearly as problematic as what we've got going on right here. Now get north of 400, but that made more of a turn to the east. So if you're in Haviland, stay down, stay hunkered down at this point. We're going to roll back, roll forward, and you'll see how this almost makes a turn to the right, almost goes east. And we have the potential for, maybe 1, 2 tornadoes in progress simultaneously here. That's definitely not out of the question, given the situation. Let's see if we get any debris lofted here. Even if we're not getting debris lofted high enough to make it into the radar beam, there are tornadoes there tonight, and they're violent. And they continue to scrub across the ground here in Kiowa County. So let's go back over to the reflectivity mode of the radar. This is what we're all used to seeing, the reflectivity, basically how hard it's raining, how big the hail is. I'm going to expand the view a little bit. I'm going to go back over the past 30 minutes. And here's the problem. Now that other thunderstorm has kind of come into it, all it's done is mask the signature. It's still in there, which means if you're out trying to spot, you're not going to see it. What you're going to see is a wall of water from the heavy rain and hail, so you're not really even going to have a chance to see the tornadoes in progress at the current time. This is why we've got Doppler radar. So let's go back over to the velocity mode. Right there. There's your area of circulation. Other area of circulation right there. So we got 2 going on at the same time. And that is the latest sweep. Let's go back over the past 30 minutes. We've got a violent thunderstorm in progress. We can only hope that the fact that these 2 storms are merging, that at some point it's going to disrupt the structure of this storm to the north, and maybe we'll start to drop down that tornado threat. But right now, no, that is just as strong as what we're seeing tonight. Let me bring back in meteorologist Cameron Venable. Cameron, I know you're keeping an eye on this thing too, and it's incredible considering the cell merger that we've seen, that we're still getting this kind of velocity data at this point.
Yeah, and another thing, Jay, is the lightning has just exponentially just taken off, which is, there's a lot of scientific research that as storms go through lightning jumps, it's directly linked to tornadogenesis. And the fact that we have a large tornado in progress, I mean, it's absolutely insane. But see, the thing is, I am about to enter Kinsley, and I'm trying to figure out my game plan. Because as you said, we need to know what's going on upstream of this storm. So I'm trying to figure out, do I drop south into Greensburg out of 183, or do I go east on 50? Problem is, if I go east on 50, I'm going to run into this thing. So I'm just trying to figure out logistically what is the best way to potentially get eyes on this.
It's probably going to be making that turn on 50, but slowing down enough to make sure that you're far enough behind everything.
That was my thought as well, because if I were to go through Greensburg, it'd be good to see if there's damage to
Right.
relay to you guys. But the problem is, 400 might be blocked or something. So I think my only option, like you said, is go east on 50 and just slow down and not get anywhere near this thing. I want to stress to people, when you're storm chasing at night, number one, you shouldn't, because it's so hard to see. And like Jay said, this tornado, this violent tornado, is wrapped in rain. You would not be able to see this. And even as a experienced storm chaser, you don't want to be near these things. So I just really want to stress to you guys, you got to be safe. And like we've said, when we tell you to take shelter, especially with a violent rain-wrapped tornado, please do, because unfortunately this is life-threatening. Jay?
All right, Cameron, once you get to Kinsley, let's get an update and figure out how we're going to work it from there. But we still have, based on the velocity mode, north of Haviland now, and also north of Brenham. I got, two circulations that I'm concerned about that are probably still tornadoes, both in progress at the same time. So very shortly, we're going to see tornado warnings extended into Edwards County and into northwestern Pratt County. So that's on the, unless something happens here and these things start to fall apart here. Matter of fact, here they're coming out. There you go. Hopewell, Byers, you're now in the latest tornado warning. Truesdale, honestly, based on that, I would still take tornado precautions, even though you're not in this latest polygon that came out from the Weather Service. Let's give you the rundown on this. That is until 11 o'clock, and we know it's observed. So probably 2 tornadoes in progress simultaneously, A and B right there. This is currently the stronger one, and honestly, usually the circulations that are off to the east become the more dominant circulation. So let's see how long this one lasts. But this is your, first alert: Truesdale, Hopewell, Byers. Time to exercise those tornado precautions. Get down to your shelters. We go over and take a look at the reflectivity mode of the radar at this point. He was in Dodge setting. There's your base reflectivity. And again, those storms have merged. And a lot of times when that happens, you don't even, you don't maintain that circulation. But let's go over the past 30 minutes now. And we're going to show you what's going on. You can make out kind of the hook there. I'm going to go back right there. And then you can kind of track it for you. You can kind of see the lowering in the reflectivity. But this is why we use Doppler radar. Because right now, is there a classic hook echo being presented? No, there's not. So this is why we go over to the Doppler radar modes and we look at velocity data. Because once we switch over, you got that and you got that. So let's give you some distances from what's going on downstream with those. So as far as how far away it is from Hopewell, we're talking 10 miles down to the southwest. Let's go back over to meteorologist Cameron Venable. Cameron?
Oh, Jay, I just wanted to let you know there's a tornado debris signature 2 miles to the north of Haviland now. It's pretty pronounced, the correlation coefficient drop.
Yep. And that's really the most obvious one that we've seen all night. There it is right there. See that lowering? Yep. That's what Cameron's talking about. So let's continue to zoom on in. We'll put this in motion. Let's go back a few minutes ago. So notice that debris signature really didn't kick up on that one until it was north of 400. So I'm going to point it out. See right there. So we're going to go back in time just a little bit. There you go. 10:15. And then it gets more pronounced. Question earlier, those were probably debris signatures south of Greensburg and south of Brenham down here. But this is a really what we call noisy data set. You need to have a lot of rain over the top of it to have confidence in it. Well, needless to say, we got plenty of rain over the top of it now, and that's why we have supreme confidence in that as far as the tornado debris signature north of Haviland. And so we take that current debris signature and we will track that. We'll give you some distance on it. So that's a real good indicator that there's a tornado going on. Let's go back over to meteorologist Cameron Venable. Cam?
Jay, report of large wedge tornado crossing 51 north of Haviland, 1 mile north of Haviland at 10:22 p.m. First storm chaser.
That was 1 mile north. Probably, I got to admit, that report, that would have only been 4 minutes ago. So I'm thinking the timestamp's probably wrong on the report, as I figure it's probably that tornado right there north of Haviland, right?
Oh, yeah, true.
Yeah. So I think the timestamp's off, because I think we're looking at that one over there that we're continuing to watch. But unfortunately, we go back over and go back over to the velocity here. Yeah, I mean that's I think the timestamp's off on that, because that's what's north of Haviland now. So that would make perfect sense. That I think the report's correct, but just the time on the report is wrong, because that's now about 3 miles. That would be 3 miles north of Haviland at this point, and with the potential of another tornado simultaneously 5 miles to the north of Hamilton, because we got those two different areas of circulation. So they did go ahead and issue the tornado warnings for parts of Pratt County and Edwards County. We knew that was coming. The lightning I'm seeing on your feed, is that still the storm ahead, or is that the tornadic storm?
That's the supercell. That's the storm.
So that is the tornadic storm that you're seeing right now on Cameron's dash cam.
That is the tornadic supercell.
Yeah, go ahead and take him full for a sec so we can just see how electrical that anvil is. And you've been watching, how long have you actually been able to see this clearly?
Just now, I just pulled on to 50. I'm going 50 east now. So I am, I mean, if there was visibility, which I doubt there is because it's went through a cell merger, I could potentially see this. But I think it's likely wrapped in rain, and that will not be the case. But this lightning is very energetic.
Well, we knew it was going to be a powerful thunderstorm. It's living up to everything we thought.
Yeah.
And let me double box here again. I mean, that's going on. And if you were looking at a conventional non-Dopplerized radar, you would not be concerned about this storm. You would just think that it's raining to all get out. But look at that. All of the rotational signatures in terms of a hook echo are all obscured at this point. Rain, because of that cell merger. So this is why we thank goodness that we have the Doppler radar network. And we switch over to the Doppler radar mode, and now we're going to roll it over the past 30 minutes here. So there's, I got to admit, Cameron, if there's any good news here, it's the fact that the rotational velocities aren't as strong as they were 10 minutes ago. But they're still strong rotational velocities is the problem. And we still have two different areas.
So do you think there's two concurrent tornadoes?
Yes.
Right now?
Yes, it's exactly what I think what's happening. I think, and I think we've had that for a while
wild.
too. So yeah, I think we have two simultaneous significant tornadoes in progress at the same time, based on Doppler radar signatures. That is in extreme northeastern Kiowa County now. Well, this is going to exit Kiowa County. This is why we kept preaching. Truesdale, Hopewell, Byers. We've been giving you alerts even ahead of the warnings here that, hey, this thunderstorm is a supercell thunderstorm in an environment where it's going to keep taking advantage of it and keep doing this trick where it's going to develop a tornado. These are going to occlude, and then new ones are going to. Now, the wild card that has been thrown in here, thankfully, is the thunderstorm to the south that's merged with it. The fact that that's kind of hopefully going to disrupt some things here, but so far it has not. The only thing it has done is obscure the rotational signatures in terms of looking at the, the old school radar, the how hard it's raining only mode. But using the Doppler radar modes, I mean, it's still very evident. Let's go back over to the debris detection again. See if we can get anything from
the east circulation looks like it might be taking over.
Which one, Cameron?
The east circulation.
Yep. But okay. And there's the debris signature. This one's the most consistent debris signature from north of Haviland, right there. See, that's what it picks up right there. But it's not as big as it was. So that is a really good debris signature confirmation that continues. And if anything, okay, maybe that's the debris signature rolling out into southern parts of Edwards County here. But that one's definitely a high level of confidence in that, because that one really spiked up north of Haviland to match that report that we were talking about earlier. And that continues to move towards the northeast. And you take that debris signature and, I'll tell you what, let me zoom into it a little bit first. Get a little tighter on that. I'm going to reposition it. There you see that debris signature there. Now we're going to go back over to the velocity mode of the radar. And okay, see, that correlates. So there's your velocity, correlates exactly with the debris signature here, feeling good. That's where we thought maybe a secondary tornado is probably going on simultaneously, just about a mile south of the Edwards County line. Let's roll that one over the past 30 minutes. So the only good news is this velocity signature still producing a tornado, but not as violently and strong as what it was producing north of Haviland. This one here, not really getting a really strong debris signature on it, but we did get a little bit of a debris signature, so I would still say there's a good chance that there's a tornado still in progress. I don't know, I'm zoomed in really super tight here, so let me kind of pause it and back out just to kind of give you the relation of where these things are. So that area of circulation here is now 8 miles southwest of Hopewell over here in Pratt County. The other circulation we're looking at from Truesdale is about 6 miles south-southwest. The one from Truesdale, probably, you know what, this one's probably going to stay east of Truesdale, but anywhere from Truesdale, east of Truesdale to Hopewell, all the way over to Byers here in Pratt County, you need to continue these tornado precautions for this storm as this continues to move towards you. Now, meteorologist Cameron Venable is obviously on the prowl, and he is on 50. So let me give you his position. So he's already come to Kinsley. Now, have you made it to Lewis yet?
I am about to pass through Lewis, yes.
Okay, so Cameron's right in here now. And so he's coming over on 50 to put himself in a position to watch this as it comes up from the southwest. So Cameron is, is in about as good a spot as you're going to get with this. I mean, Cameron, earlier you had the tornadoes that were down in Edwards County and also Pawnee County. And so now, there we go. I got Cameron on the map. Let me get everything kind of recentered again for you. So there is Cameron. And so all the lightning you're seeing is from this storm here. And we've already gone through the cell merger. And you remember Cameron and I were talking about this earlier. We were really kind of hoping that the other storm that came up from the south was going to disrupt the structure of the storm enough to really take the tornado play off the table here. That ain't happening so far. This thing's still spinning like a top in a couple of different locations. And as you look live at Cameron's video, you can see just how electrical this storm is too. And there is a correlation with lightning frequency, increase in lightning frequency, and strengthening of thunderstorms. So Cameron, as you continue to get closer to it, obviously it's still extremely electrical.
It is extremely electrical, yeah. The storm going through the lightning jump, that has not really changed at all. That would be actually something we would want to see, is the decrease in lightning, because that would mean that the updraft is not nearly as potent, which would also suggest that, maybe we're starting to weaken the tornado, but it's still about the same lightning frequency at the moment. This storm, we definitely need to watch. Like we were talking about earlier with cell mergers, one thing is sometimes it takes a while for it to fully ingest the storm, so maybe there's still hope it'll at least occlude this circulation, but at this point we're just kind of watching and waiting.
I appreciate that, Cameron. Matter of fact, just to show how electrical these storms are, let's go over to meteorologist Hannah Dennis. I notice you got the lightning strikes up. Over what time frame has that been plotted?
I have this plotted over just the last 30 minutes. You can kind of see just right exactly where that storm is, because it looks like just a ball of lightning strikes that have kind of popped up on there. And there has been another kind of a video that I have from the CanDrive cameras. Let me refresh the video for you here, and you can kind of see this is US 54 at Pratt. You can just kind of see how it just continuously kind of keeps flashing, kind of like the lightning that Cameron is seeing. We're just seeing a lot of lightning, and it seems to be increasing a little bit over the past few minutes, just with what the graphic has shown, from what the cameras has shown. So we can kind of see that this is a really electrical storm, because we weren't seeing too much lightning with some of these earlier storms that were coming through Kansas. Jay?
All right, let's get back over. Thank you very much for that and the lightning. Here's some better news, at least. Over the past 30 minutes, that tornado that was definitely on the ground near Haviland, north of Haviland, still rotating, velocities weaker. You can clearly see the downtrend. We'll pick it up right there to there. So this is some great news. Hopefully we can continue to get this to spin down. The other circulation that we were looking at north of Brennan, right there, is pretty much gone at this point, just south of Truesdale. Let's go ahead and stay down in the shelters, Truesdale. Stay down in the shelters, Hopewell, at this point. But that is much better news. We're trending the right way. That outbound, still strong. It's weaker than it has been. But Truesdale, Hopewell, over towards Byers, let's continue those tornado precautions for now. I do want to go back over and take a look at the correlation coefficient. Basically, this is what we use to detect debris. The key is you got to loft the debris up into the radar beam. And also you need enough rain in order to keep it from being this noisy, hard to read over here. So let's go back. North of Haviland, we pick that signature up. You can still make out maybe a little bit of debris signature there. We still have rotation on the radar, but it's significantly reduced. So at least the strength of the tornado, the size of the tornado is smaller at this point. Hopefully, that means it's trending downward to dissipate. But the fact we still got that little debris signature is just why anywhere east of Truesdale to Hopewell to the west of Byers, we're talking, you know, here for Edwards County over into Pratt County, you need to stay down in your shelters. And even if you're in, you know, the southwest corner of Stafford, I would be very proactive at this moment for this thunderstorm. I am going to switch over to the old school reflectivity. We're going to back the view out, just kind of reset the scene for you so you can check out everything going on in terms of where the storms are and how they're moving. So let's kind of expand the view. And here we go over the past 30 minutes. This is the storm that's right now in southwest Kansas. That's it. All these other storms up here, well below severe limits. And the fact that we've had some showers and thunderstorms here, you know what, that's going to help kind of turn the atmosphere over a little bit. That's kind of a little stabilizing thing. That's all good. But the fact that we had the cell merger, we still had the tornado, let's let this thunderstorm continue to move out of Kiowa, Clip and Edwards, moving towards Pratt into Stafford County before we start to, you know, get totally okay with this. The good news is at least we're trending in the right direction at this point. So let me zoom back in here. I'm going to completely reset the scene for you. Again, if you were using conventional non-Doppler radar, you would look at this and you wouldn't really worry about anything in that. But let's go back over to the velocity and kind of slice through it once again. Over to Dodge. There's your base velocity. And we'll continue to look at this. And we're going to roll it over the past 30 minutes. Okay, this is very good. There's that circulation. It's pretty much gone now. Cameron, I want to bring you in. In terms of what you're seeing from your point of view, in terms of the lightning intensity, frequency, has that changed at all?
It is not nearly as frequent, which we were just talking about a little bit ago, which would definitely line up with either it's fully ingested the other cell and that has disrupted tornadogenesis and has occluded the ongoing tornado. That's a possibility. But I was also thinking back to how we went from basically 0 to 100 to from a cell to a straight up violent tornado in a short period of time. And then something dawned on me. There were boundaries over there, Jay. Remember we had storms earlier in the evening? And those boundaries probably got ingested into the supercell, which is why it went through rapid intensification. And now that it is away from that zone, also explains why it's starting to weaken. But now that's just something I was kind of thinking about.
I hope that trend continues. Unfortunately, it looks like right along 400 in western Pratt County between Wellsford and Cullison that a new area of rotation is kind of starting to take over here. We'll see if this intensifies or if this is going to last for a sweep of the radar or two. But this is western Pratt County. It's still within the tornado warning polygon at this point. And it would match up with that little, see your little notch, little inflow notch in there. So we still have a rotating thunderstorm. Again, it's not nearly as powerful as what we have had earlier tonight, but still, I'm going to zoom into this even a little more tightly here, a little closer into it for you. So that is Pratt County's here, county line, Kiowa County. There's 400,
Pixel.
Wellsford, and then there's Cullison. So I'm going to scrub through this, and I'm going to go back a little bit. And you'll notice that little area circulation developing right along the county line, starting right there. And as far as the distance from the county line, so take US 400, it was 1 mile due south of the county line, and then we roll forward in time, and okay, this is more wind blowing away from the radar here, And even though there is some return here and you can make out some weak circulation, this isn't intensifying rotation, at least at this point, as more as it looks like just some gusty winds flowing out of it. So we'll see if this keeps up. Let's get back over into northern Kiowa County. Tell you what, Cameron, I'm feeling a lot better about what's going out of Kiowa County and moving into Edwards County right now. The velocity signatures are not nearly what they were. This is a fantastic downward trend.
I agree. The little tiny stinger, but compared to the large circulation we had earlier, it's definitely much better than it has been.
Matter of fact, the National Weather Service has just
You and I both know this is probably going to continue to cycle.
Yeah, but the Weather Service has canceled all of Edwards County and all of Kiowa County. They've just canceled all those tornado warnings. They're gone. The only tornado warning currently in effect is for Pratt County. And basically they cut Edwards out, they cut Kiowa out of the existing warning. And the circulation that we noted here, right along 400 between Cullison and Haviland, it's still there, and it's still within the warning polygon that the Weather Service has issued. But it looks like even the Weather Service was just looking at the way that both the velocities here just fell off the table, thankfully. So this is absolutely fantastic news. Let me go back over and let's go back to the reflectivity mode of the radar. And yep, this is all looking great. This is getting so much better here. This is the little weak area circulation we're going to watch. We'll see if this actually kind of wraps up a little tighter. So if you're around Cullison, you're west of Cullison, north of 400, good idea to take those precautions just in case at this point. The circulations that earlier were approaching, well, that's all gone now. We just got heavy rain around Byers. So this is the part of the storm that we are going to continue to watch at this point. I want to back up just a little bit, and I want to see if I can get Cameron's updated position. Looks like you're through Lewis at this point.
Just passing through Belpre.
Belpre, okay, all right. So there's Cameron's position there over at Belpre, and he's continuing right on 50 into Stafford County. And so as the storm continues to track to the northeast, Cameron's going to be able to come right on along behind it and track it from basically near the intersection of 281 as that continues to pass by him. So this is really the only kind of suspect area I'm dealing with right now, is what's basically northwest of Cullison. Slice through that, take a look at the velocity data here and see what we got. Okay, it's still, you know what, Cameron, it's not giving up yet. It wants to do something.
Yeah.
Yep, right there.
It's significantly better than it was, though.
Yep. Oh, trust me, this is, can you imagine what we had just 20 minutes ago, man? Just 20 and 25 minutes ago. My goodness. Those were incredibly...
Well, the fact that we had a tornado emergency again, that's never sits well.
I mean, that was just, the velocity signatures were just, were sad. Yeah, right there. That's where we start to see another area of circulation developing again. But we continue to zoom on in here, and let's go over the past 30 minutes. There is that circulation. Again, this isn't really tight, but since it's within an existing tornado warning, Weather Service is going to hang on to that. The question is whether or not they're going to extend another tornado warning. It would still be just, wise at this point if you're around Cullison, northwest of Cullison, play it safe. Pratt proper, this is probably going to stay north of you, but over towards the airport and up towards Iuka, yes, that's where it's going to track. So if you want to take those tornado precautions there. The best news of the night is the violent tornadoes that have moved across Kiowa County have dissipated. Thank goodness, because and eventually probably the cell merger is probably responsible for their eventual demise. It just took a lot longer than we thought it would, because normally once you get those cell interactions, it's pretty disruptive to some storm structure, but it took a little while, but it finally got that one down. And we're still looking at this area of circulation here. This is northwest of Cullison, and that continues to move towards the east-northeast at that point, not really due northeast. Again, that's going to track north of the city of Pratt. So if you're in Pratt, it's not going to impact you. Cameron, you've been keeping an eye on the lightning frequency and intensity, so how's that been doing?
I'd say it's about the same. One thing I was going to say is a lot of times with cell mergers, if you're just starting tornadogenesis, trying to get toward a tornado, it just completely stops it. It does take a lot longer to disrupt an active tornado. And as we saw, it took, the better part of 30, 40 minutes to really whittle down and have that large tornado occlude. But I'm glad that it did occlude, because that was rough.
Well, the only circulation that we got on the radar right now from Cullison is 2 miles to the northwest, and it will continue tracking towards the northeast. Again, it's not going to move towards Pratt itself. That tightens up. It'll be interesting to see what decision Dodge City decides to make, whether or not they're going to continue the tornado warning, or they're going to let it expire, because currently it's set to expire in about 14 minutes. So coming up at 11 o'clock, that's the current tornado warning for Pratt. And notice it says, radar indicated, and that's what we've been looking at here. Okay, here comes the latest sweep of the radar. The wind blowing away from the radar has increased in velocity. We really hadn't seen an attendant wrap up with the inbound here, but that's right there for you. That's where your rotation is. Let's continue north of Cullison, switch over to the reflectivity mode of the radar. And it does line up with that little weakness. Now, before we call that, I'm not going to call that a bounded weak echo region, because that's more just, it seems like just rain getting wrapped around the back.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah, that's more of a bigger circulation hint than like a tight mesoscale circulation with that. But we'll watch that and see how that comes in. But we still have the tornado watch in effect for parts of north central, all the way down to parts of southwest and into south central Kansas. Let's go over to meteorologist Hannah Dennis with a reminder of just what counties are still under the watch.
Yeah, they have slowly been trimming it up, and you can kind of see that what's highlighted in blue, that's where you have that severe thunderstorm watch until 10 p.m. tonight. The green is the tornado watch. Now, it's right where this white line is, the counties to the north, those are under that tornado watch until 1 a.m. The counties to the south of that white line is under a tornado watch until midnight tonight. So we're going to potentially see some of these get canceled a little bit earlier as the threat slowly starts to pass. But something that is a little bit interesting is looking at the Can Drive site that you can kind of see just east of Greensburg. They do have a section of 400 closed right now. They kind of had to block it off, and this happened after the storms have passed. The tornado has potentially gone through, potentially have knocked over power lines or something that is blocking the road, so they had to shut down quite a large section of 400 just east of Greensburg. Jay?
Yeah, okay, and that's probably indicative of what we know. I mean, it's very likely a tornado went through there, a very violent tornado. So the fact that what's encouraging to me, though, is that the closures were on the east edge of Greensburg and off towards the east. So that hopefully suggests that the city itself did not take that direct hit, and that it was south of town and then moving east of town, and that's why they closed that section here. So we're going to zoom back in. Again, there's meteorologist Cameron Venable's current position. Cameron, looks like you're now in Stafford County. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so Cameron is sliding on 50 this way, and north of Cullison, I mean, you could see, and it's a rotating storm. It is under a tornado warning. I mean, we're 10 minutes before decision time here, but we'll see if the Weather Service is going to continue that. Let's go back over to the velocity data, and we're just going to kind of key in on that part of the storm. All right, so we'll continue on down towards the south here. Cameron Venable is in the process. Okay, that's Maxville where he's going through now. Thank you, Mr. Scheck. We'll zoom in a little more. This part of the thunderstorm, again, north of Cullison. It is kind of a broad area of circulation. We're going to roll it over 30 minutes here so you can watch that. I came up here, so south of Wellsford, and then there it is. It's a persistent aerial rotation. It's suspect enough where we're probably going to continue to watch that. Whether or not it's strong enough where the Weather Service is going to go ahead and extend the tornado warning past 11 o'clock, that's to be determined. So at least at this point of time, if the Weather Service is not going to reissue a tornado warning, what we're going to do is we're going to kind of step down our coverage at that point and start covering more during some of the commercial breaks as that continues to track forward here. But that's the only warning that we got in KAKE land is this tornado warning. So once it's gone, we'll kind of step back and to giving you updates during the commercial breaks. We'll let Cameron get a little bit closer. We'll let him get eyes on this for us, and we'll also keep an eye on it. Cameron, any change in the lightning frequency from your location?
It seemed less frequent. Well, that was a close strike, closer, but overall frequency seemed less frequent. I was going to ask you, do you think I should just keep going east on 50 or drop down 281? Like, it hasn't, I mean, obviously that's a risky gamble going down 281, especially with the history of it producing a large tornado, but it hasn't done that in a long time. That would be an easy way to get on the south side of the storm, but I have to slice through the storm.
I would definitely wait at the intersection of 281 until you're pretty confident that you could time it, that by the time you slid down there that the circulation would be east of 281. That way you could come down around behind it, because here's the beauty. Because once you get close to Pratt, you could then use K61 to kind of get northeast and parallel it a little bit. You know, so you could come down here, hit 61 towards Turon, getting back into Reno County. And so he's coming through Maxville now. He's coming out of Maxville. So what Cameron's debating on, is he going to hang at the intersection of 281, try to let this part of the storm pass, drop back behind, keep an eye on it, and then potentially he would just have to kind of bounce into Pratt and then come back out on K61, which wouldn't be a bad call because the storm's going to move northeast. Going to parallel it at that point as that continues to track northern Pratt County and then into Stafford County. But we're 7 minutes away.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Okay. I'll wait till it's a little closer then.
Okay, so what we're going to do is, like I said, at 11 o'clock, we're going to start giving you updates during commercial breaks. Another thing too is we're going to kind of leave this punched up on .5, so you can go over to KAKE.5 and watch what we're doing over there, because we'll leave the radar up, and we'll occasionally interrupt the programming on that. So be sure and join us on .5.
Oh, they're reissuing.
Okay, so they're going to go ahead and reissue, so you're going to hang with us for a bit. Oh, yeah.
So are they thinking there's one in progress, or? Oh, well, yeah, the latest velocity scan's tighter than it was. Oh, 2-inch hail, that's not ideal. Yeah, I'll wait out that hail core.
Yeah, I mean, the verbiage says radar indicated rotation with their warning. So, yeah. So they went ahead and extended it out. And the primary reason, let's face it, is because it has a history of producing tornadoes. So the latest warning is until 11:30 for Pratt and Stafford County. And again, the key phrase here is radar indicated. Let's go back over and take a look at the velocity data here. And we're going to roll it forward over the past 30. Okay, you know what? It's ticked back up.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So, yep. So if you're around Iuka, I would definitely stay down in your shelters. Again, city of Pratt proper, but once you get to the airport, Iuka and up to the north, let's go ahead and exercise those tornado precautions, because this is kind of starting to tighten back up again. There you see this back towards the radar at Dodge. That's a higher velocity now. You have a higher velocity here. So right in there, here in western Pratt County, that's why the Weather Service has issued that tornado warning, and they're going to extend that to North Iuka. Any change in terms of the lightning or anything from your end?
The lightning is starting to pick up. I also noticed that there's more of a hail core. The storm hasn't really had a hail core, which could signify that the updraft is strengthened. Also, there's just a lot of wind pouring out of this storm. Look at this. Look at how windy it is all of a sudden, because I'm sitting on the fringe of it. So, unfortunately, I think our little lull in activity, it was cycling and trying to reorganize.
Yep, and I think that we're starting to see that reorganization now. So let's zoom in here. I'll show you that area of circulation.
It's doing that dual radar or dual rotation signature again.
Yep. Yep. One kind of. Then again, I'm not. We'll see if that. The next volume scan resolves that little area to the south here. This is what I'm more concerned about there. But this is north of 400, and the good news, it's okay. Unfortunately, it's getting even tighter. You see the latest velocity scan. We got the little stinger now. So yep. Let's. Let's. We're going to continue to stay with this. We'll give you a track on this from Yucca. As far as the distance, it's only 5 miles due west at this point, and that signature is increasing. So this is more of a concern. So if you're in Pratt County, you're north of the city of Pratt, you need to stay down in your shelters at this point. You zoom in hyper tight, give you a couple of county roads here. There you go. You got northwest 50th Avenue and northwest 50th Street, and then there's 40th there. So there's 50th Street, there's 40th Avenue, there's 50th Avenue, and that's the area of circulation where if a tornado is going to develop, that's where it's going to be. So let's continue to kind of push the view back out a little bit. As we do, we'll continue to watch this. So there you go. Unfortunately, it continues, and this is kind of what we feared, Cameron, is the fact that the atmosphere is still going to be capable to give enough shear to do this.
This is what we've been hitting on the last couple days. Unfortunately, like you said, the environment is favorable for long track violent tornadoes, and we've seen the violent tornado part, and this supercell has definitely been long track, a cyclic supercell, cycling out large tornado after large tornado. So it's gonna be a while before this thing's done.
It's getting reorganized. I mean, the reflectivity is more organized now. We got a clear classic hook echo with this now. So, yep, it's reorganized itself here in Pratt County. In the city of Pratt itself, you're okay, but anything north of Pratt, from the airport, all the way to Yucca, all the way up in the southern parts of Stafford County, let's go ahead and get those tornado precautions going again. How far from the intersection of 281 are you now, Cameron?
Let me see. I'm getting pretty close. And by close, I mean about 5.5 miles.
Okay, all right. Yeah, if anything, once you get to 281...
I need to time out that hail core.
Yeah, I wouldn't go anything more than a couple of miles south on 281 until that hail core gets on the other side of 281.
Agreed. Hold on. 4 miles north-northeast of Collison at 10:58 p.m., so a minute ago. Several power lines down across the road at this location per storm chaser.
All right. So, again, around Iuka, you need to continue those tornado precautions. Continue to zoom in here. And there's the primary circulation that we're more concerned about, is that one right there. And that's the one that's approaching 281. And that is 3 miles to the west of 281 at this point. We're going to roll forward in time here. And that continues. 3 miles, our tornado warning is going to continue here. And we continue to track that, and they're going to continue that tornado warning. And I got to admit, once we start getting even into Reno County, I mean, there's the potential for this storm to continue chugging along. Not really until it starts to get more into Rice County and McPherson County. That at least we had some storms there earlier tonight, but we've had some pretty persistent, brand new fetch bringing in more moisture from the south. So that's no guarantee that it's going to spin down either. So this storm's just going to continue to churn as long as it's got some atmosphere to work with in here. And this continues to shape up into unfortunately, supercell thunderstorm just has completely reorganized itself. We had a cell merger between two storms, That has already taken place and has been disruptive, but now it's reorganizing itself once again. And there is your tornado threat over towards the Pratt Industrial Airport and over towards your Iuka as that continues to track to the northeast. The good news is that the city of Pratt itself is not going to be impacted by this as that continues to track across parts of Pratt County. So, Cameron, have you made it to 281 yet?
3 miles away. I was just thinking, if this crosses the road and destroys power lines, I'm going to be dead in the water and I'm not going to be able to move south. Do you think maybe east on 50 punch? I mean, it's really out of the way, but I mean, that could be a potential thing that happens with a tornado crossing road.
Assuming there is still one when that happens, that is true. It's not 281 yet. But yeah, but then again, I don't know, what kind of road potential is there in northern Pratt County between 281 and K61? Do you know?
Not a lot. You got to go all the way almost to Hutchinson, then drop back southwest on, what is that, 61.
Now, I was just wondering if there was any...
So I think my only choice is to drop south.
I just didn't know if something like Northeast 70th Street would get you from 281 over 261 in northern Pratt County.
Let me see. Oh, right light. Maybe. Might be a possibility.
But yeah, I see what you're saying is maybe you just continue through Stafford and Sylvia and let it catch up with you in Reno County. I understand what you're talking about there too.
Because if I do end up venturing south on 281, and for whatever reason I can't go any farther, I'm not going to be able to catch it again. The lightning has significantly picked up, Jay.
Okay. All right.
And it's a lot more blinding. I'm also more so in the storm, so that's another reason.
Okay. So you haven't gotten to 281 quite yet, have you?
281 and 1.2 miles.
Okay. All right. Yeah, at this point, you're probably going to want to, I don't know if you're going to want to slow down and make sure that the hail core doesn't catch up to you, that you kind of stay behind it.
Well, I think the hail core is moving more northeast, or is it moving northerly?
Well, the hail core it's tracking northeast along with everything else. So you're right. So you're probably okay continuing.
I think it'll slide by me.
Okay. All right.
Well, it looks like the circulation's getting close to 281 now.
Yes, that is correct.
So I'll start jogging down 281 and just time out the hail core, and we'll see how it goes.
All right. So here's that area of circulation right there. Again, not going to impact Pratt, but it's going to cross US 281 north of Pratt. As far as its distance, it's only about 6 miles northwest of the intersection of US 281 and US 400 in Pratt. So if we still got a tornado in progress, that is where it is going to be. We'll slide back over to reflectivity mode of the radar at this point. And here you can see a weak echo region, which if we got a tornado, it's right in there. So the larger hail is right along the county line, the Pratt County line, southern Stafford County line, and that continues to track very nicely here. So let's put this in motion for you over the past 30 minutes. There's your circulation redeveloping as that moves across Pratt County. Now, this started north of Cullison. Now that's kind of wrapping into itself. So it'll be interesting to see if we actually get some occlusion. So there you go, continuing to track this. Cameron just made that turn on 281 southbound. So right there, that little weakened region, that would be the circulation around the rotation inside that thunderstorm. So there's a tornado. It's right in there at this point, again, well north of the city of Pratt. Go back over to the velocity mode of the radar. There's your area rotation, which lines up with the weakened area as far as the reflectivity goes. Let's go back over to that. And we'll zoom in hyper tight and show you exactly what we're talking about. So an area of circulation, the potential for the tornado, right in the vicinity of 70th Street and also Northwest 20th Avenue. So there's Northwest 20th Avenue, there's 70th Street, and then you get all the way over to US 281. There, it's about 2 miles away. Oh, just got the latest sweep of the radar. So with the latest sweep of the radar, that little area of circulation is right now near 80th and basically 281. So it's within a mile of 281, sitting right there. Let's see if we got an updated velocity sweep. And we do. So the area of circulation is now 1 mile to the west of US 281, about to cross 281, right in the vicinity of Northwest 10th Avenue. As that continues on here, we kind of back the view out. So that's it. The tornado's in progress. It's going to be right there, about to cross 281. Again, well to the north of Pratt. So if you're in Pratt proper, you don't need to worry about this storm, because it is moving off to your north. It'll be crossing 281 to your north. And this is going to be moving from near Iuka and the airport, north of the airport, across northeastern parts of Pratt County, and then eventually into southern Stafford and into western Reno. All right, Cameron, why don't you give us a position update and tell us what you're seeing?
All right, Jay. I am just a few miles to the south of the interchange. I'm looking due south at the storm. I stopped a little bit. I was starting to get a couple hailstones, even though I'm well outside the hail core. Indicates how strong that updraft is. And wow, that reflectivity update, that's a lot of hail. So we're going to wait for that to cross 281, and then I'll continue to venture southward. And then, like we said, we're going to go down to Pratt and then to K61. That's the game plan for now.
All right, so you keep us updated on that. And it looks like they've still got that big chunk of US 400 closed in Kiowa County right now. We can only assume that's because the tornado crossed there and they're still dealing with the damage.
Yes, that's currently what is happening, and there has been some photos that have been sent in the National Weather Service chat. It looks like around US 400 and 43rd Avenue, so east of Greensburg, it actually hit a train. It toppled it over the tracks. So there is a extended length of a train that has been toppled over as that tornado moved through right now. It's causing a big backup, and there's few emergency personnel there kind of looking at that damage and making sure that everyone is okay that was either near or even in that train right now. I don't know what kind of train. I just know that there was a train that had quite a few cars on it that got toppled over on its side. Jay?
All right, let's get back over to Pratt County, and we still have that area of circulation that's in the process of crossing US 281 just as we speak here. So if there's a tornado in progress, it is right there to the north, just south of US 50, is meteorologist Cameron Venable. Cameron, let's get an update from your position.
Yeah, I am just sitting north of that hail core. I'm just at the, just a little south of the intersection 50 and 281. And I'm waiting for the hail core to cross the road. Wow, the rain has really picked up. Pulled off on the side of the road waiting. I was looking back at the data, and that circulation just went north of the Pratt airport a little bit.
Yep.
I don't think it hit the airport, but it was fairly close.
It was very close. That's Iuka. That's where the Pratt Industrial Airport is. And you definitely see the classic hook echo reappearing again with this storm. The hail core here. Cameron's right about in here now. But yeah, that is, Cameron, unfortunately, this thing is getting very classically organized all over again. We got a classic hook echo just to the north of the Pratt Airport. This is now moving on the west side of US 281. So if you're in Preston, basically K61 now. Preston, getting into Reno County, Turon, and upstream. Southern parts of Stafford County, including Neola and south of Stafford, you need to exercise those tornado precautions. And this is kind of a heads up. Downstream, I mean, Arlington, Partridge, potentially even Hutchinson, if this thunderstorm continues to evolve. So we've got very likely a tornado still in progress right now. It has reorganized itself. And so Cameron is kind of waiting for this to continue to move off to the east.
We got first responders blasting by.
Okay, are they heading down to Pratt?
Yeah, I think so. I just saw a report near Iuka. It says 11:08 p.m. trees shredded, power lines and poles snapped. Likely tornado.
Have no doubts.
2 miles west-northwest Iuka.
Yep. Okay, yeah, this matches up with what we've been doing here and what we've been tracking on the Doppler radar. So unfortunately, we've got yet another tornado that has been produced, or tornadoes plural, produced by this storm. Go back over the velocity, and yeah, unfortunately the signature has improved here, sadly. So there it is, moving through northeastern parts of Pratt County. This is going to move from northeastern Pratt County very close to Preston. So if you're around Preston on K61, Turon, okay, Reno County, you're not currently under a tornado warning, but one's coming out. Based on this, it's going to happen. So if you're anywhere south of Stafford and Stafford County, if you're near Preston and northeastern parts of Pratt County, you got to take those tornado precautions. And from Turon to Partridge, this thunderstorm probably going to still be in an environment capable of producing tornadoes, including Arlington. So your heads up as this is moving your way. We'll roll this for you over the past 30 minutes, and there it is. Let's go back over to Hannah. Yes, Hannah, what have you got?
The parent circulation right now, and this report came in 3 miles west of Pratt, just looking north. So we could be seeing another kind of area of rotation might want to develop along with this parent circulation, because that is kind of what's being seen on the ground right now by some storm spotters.
All right, thank you very much for getting that for us. And what you're talking about is right there. That potentially redeveloping, so that's a suspect area we'll watch. Tornado still in progress here, and the fact that we got some trees shredded and things near Iuka, definitely probably, a tornado that ripped through there, but that's where we still have likely a tornado in progress, and it's approaching the county line with Stafford County. So can't emphasize enough, Preston, Turon, Neola, even towards Arlington, you all need to start taking those tornado precautions. I know there's no warning for Reno County yet, but based on that, probably one going to be coming out or extended fairly shortly here as we transition out of Dodge City's territory over towards Wichita's territory based on that signature. Just to the north up here is meteorologist Cameron Venable. You still parked on 281. What do you see it from your vantage point?
No, I'm dropping south. I am about 19 miles to Pratt. So I'm continuing to drop south on 281. I would imagine if there's a tornado in progress, as I get closer off to my left, there will likely be power flashes if it's breaking power lines. So that will be some visual confirmation. Yet to see that yet. I'm almost out of the precip. It's about to leave me, and that will make it a lot easier to spot the potential ongoing tornado. Jen.
All right, Cameron. So yeah, we'll get a little position update here. We're going to zoom in. That updated here. Tornado right in there. See that nice little hook that is redeveloped? And there's Cameron. Notice how he's kind of skirting on the back edge of the hail core. What he's trying to do is get far enough south to look from the back side and see if we can see kind of power flashes or confirmation. But yeah, pretty nice little appendage here. Nice little hook on that storm. Let me zoom in a little bit tighter here. Get Cameron's position updated. Now notice it's also kind of starting to kind of wrap back into itself. So we'll see if that completely occludes or not. If I get into Dodge, go to the base velocity. Yep, still very strong indications of rotation. And that's why the tornado warning is likely going to be extended. The current tornado warning that's been issued by the National Weather Service over in Dodge City for parts of Pratt County and Stafford County is until 11:30. That's 15 minutes it's going to expire, but yeah, there's going to be another one coming out. They're not going to be able to let that one go. We'll continue to track what's happening here. We've got meteorologist Cameron Venable. You're watching his stream live. Go back to his location. I want to get him updated here with positions. Other thunderstorms across KAKE land. No warnings at this point. This is the only storm with any kind of warning on it currently. And it'll be interesting to see if any other storms really kind of pop up, because this is definitely the storm of the moment at this point in time. So let's get live there with meteorologist Cameron Middable. See if I can get his position updated for you. There he is, sliding down 281. That's the tornado threat that we're continuing to monitor. Limiting a little bit tighter since Cameron's getting even closer at this point. And we'll go over and take a look at some of the velocity data. Get updated from that point of view. Dot sitting, base velocity, 0.5 degrees.
It's a weird looking reflectivity signature.
What was that, Cam?
It's a weird looking reflectivity signature behind the hook.
There's also get a little bit of a de-aliasing error.
Drawn
here.
out.
But here's the deal. Right there. It's still spinning. Trust me. It's still spinning like a top. Right there. Right along the county line, just a couple of miles to the south of the county line. That velocity data will get straightened out here pretty soon. Okay, let me switch over to Wichita and see what we're seeing from another radar. There you go.
Yeah, we should do that.
Let's, there you go. That cleaned it up. Because we're starting to get closer and closer to Wichita now. Very good indications. Got to be, we got much better velocity presentation on Wichita, Cameron.
Look at the B order.
Much greater velocity presentation, unfortunately. So, yep, this is indicative. Very strong rotational signature here. This is an extreme northern Pratt County. This is, you know, already past 281. It's going to be really close to crossing K61, kind of at the Pratt County, Reno County line, or just to the north. So Neola and southern parts of Stafford County, you got to be sheltered at this point. That thing continues to turn. And Cameron, as far as your position relative to it at this point, why don't you give us a position update?
I just entered the tornado warning polygon.
Okay.
And I am 5.2 miles to the northwest of that B word, the bounded weak echo region.
All right. I got to admit, Cameron, I know there's a heck of probably a rain curtain between you and the circulation. Is the lightning helping you out any at all with this, or how you doing, man?
Like you said, I mean, it's just, there's got to be, it's rain wrapped. I've yet to see anything. I'm about to roll up on the first responders from before. I wonder if there's like a tree blocking the road or something. Gonna find out in a second.
Okay. And you know, it's one of those things too. If somebody's out walking around, if you can, you know, roll down the window and ask them if they've got anything.
Yeah, if I see people, ask them if they saw the tornado or if they.
Well, that's what they got any reports too. You know, so we can. Because yeah, this thing, the velocity signature is still very plain, very prevalent. This thing is, you know, redeveloped, unfortunately, quite nicely. Yeah. You can see as it moved from north of Collison. Yep, there it is right there. It's only a couple of miles south of the county line with Stafford County. Maybe only about a mile south now. Yep, only about 2 miles or so south. That continues to track towards the northeast. So this is going to take the circulation. The only good news is it looks like it's going to stay north of Preston. But Neola, Turon, over towards Langdon, Arlington, Partridge, maybe even, I think it's probably going to stay south of Sylvia. But as this moves out, you know, Stafford County gets into western parts of Reno. But I do expect within the next 5 minutes, we'll probably see the tornado warnings coming out from Reno County based on just the persistence of this cell and the fact that it continues to get reorganized. Unfortunately, got a classic bounded weak echo region now. There.
Am I able to go south?
Yeah, you're probably good now.
Okay. You hear any?
It's going east a little bit.
Yeah, it's pretty close to K61. It sounds like.
What's that?
It's pretty close to K61. It sounds like.
K61. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, we're gonna head back up to 81 and go to the east.
Okay.
And hopefully come back.
That's what Cameron talked.
Have you heard any damage reports or?
Other than what you guys are saying, no.
Appreciate you watching, man. Thanks.
All right, Cameron. So we heard part of that. Fill us in.
Yeah, they're actually watching our live stream right now.
Oh,
but they said they're going to go check on some houses. They've yet to hear any reports of damage at the current time besides of what storm chasers are relaying. But it sounds like, it went close to Iuka, and it's in between. It looks like it's just northwest of K61 at this point, the tornado, I mean.
Well, I got to admit, just based on the bounded weak echo region, I still think as far as K61 it goes, we're talking about maybe 4 miles north of K61. And as far as east of 281, about 5 miles east of 281, it's only within a mile or two of the Stafford County line. So yeah, I still think it's pretty
I think I should be able to parallel it on K61 then, if it's gonna kind of stay north of it.
If you can get to it though, that's the only question. Is I think the only, without going all the way down to Pratt, the only option you have is northeast 70th. North of Iuka, it would be getting on North Road, North Street, and then from North Street, that does a curve back to the north, and then intercepts Northeast 70th Street, and then Northeast 70 makes a run to K61.
Okay. Try to navigate that.
Yeah, so if you can, it's on the north edge of Iuka.
Do we know if those are paved or no?
Don't know, buddy. All I know.
Yeah.
All I know is that it's a bolded line on the map, which usually means it's a primary road. So that's all I'm going to say.
Very true.
Okay. And
fair enough.
Yeah. So no, can't tell you without a say. But I can tell you the road's there.
Right on.
So yeah, once you get to Iuka, it's on the north side of town. I mean, as soon as you roll in,
yeah.
It's called North Street.
North Street.
To your right, to the west of 281, it'd be called Northwest 60th. To the east of 281, it's called North Street. And then it goes about 1 mile, makes a curve into 10th Avenue, which dumps into 70th Street. And 70th Street is the east-west road that'll take you back into K61.
Okay.
And it'll take you into K61 about about 4 miles from Preston.
Yep.
Tell you what, be glad you're not in Stafford County because the hail size is increasing in this storm right now. In addition to the tornado warning, I wouldn't be surprised if your thunderstorm warning comes out for large hail too. And the Weather Service did extend the tornado warning into Reno County. So Reno, you're now under a tornado warning until midnight. So midnight tornado warning for Reno County. We knew this was coming. This does include Sylvia, Plevna, Turon, Langdon, Abbeville, Arlington, and Partridge.
Whoa. Just got blasted by wind.
Yeah. And just kind of, again, keeping everybody downstream here aware. This holds together. This will get into Hutch. Hutch, you're not in a tornado warning right now, which should this thunderstorm continue to stay together, that would include that. So I tell you what, when we get a chance, maybe we can get our Weather Now camera in Hutchinson, looking off to the southwest at that approaching storm. All right. Anna, why don't you show it to us?
Yeah, I have the camera pointed towards that storm. I've kind of had it pointed there for a little while to see if I could watch the lightning kind of flash on it. Seen some lightning, but kind of right now there hasn't been too much activity on this camera as of right now as that storm is approaching. Every now and then there is a few flashes of lightning, but I expect as soon as we get a little bit closer to it, or the storm gets a little bit closer, we're going to be able to see some lightning. You can kind of see how the sky turned a little bit lighter. That you can see that there is some kind of lightning, but it's still a little bit off towards the distance, a little bit harder to see, especially with the lights that are in Hutchinson right now. It's kind of making the sky look a little bit lighter, making it harder for us to kind of see some of that lightning. Jay?
All right, let's get you back over to the radar, and classic hook wrapping back into itself. Right now, skirting along the county line. So it's in the process of moving out of Pratt County, skirting right along the line with Stafford. It's not going to last in Stafford long. Neola, shelters should already be there. Large hail between Stafford and Neola, and this is crossing into Reno County. Looks like with its movement, Turon may stay north of you. I would already be in your shelters anyway, but Sylvia, Arlington, Partridge, and this is kind of, like I said, your first alert, Hutchinson. I know you're not under the warning right now, but if this thing holds together, this will get into Hutch. So please, you know, be prepared. Let's get back over to meteorologist Cameron Venable. Cameron, I'm curious, if you made it down to North Road, yeah, how's that looking?
I'm not quite there yet. I'm about 2 miles away, it sounds like.
Okay. All right. So we're getting close here, and Cameron's going to be in the process of getting right there. I tell you what, let's take Cameron's stream full so we can take a look at some of the lightning. Give us a little play-by-play of what you're seeing.
Yeah, most of the lightning is going to be off to my left because that's where the storm is at. It's not overly frequent. I'm noticing emergency lights up ahead again. We're getting closer to Iuka, which likely may have gotten skirted by a tornado earlier, so maybe they're looking for damage. But I am about to turn on Northeast 70th and then to North Street, right, Jet?
Well, yeah, North will turn into like 10th and then 70th. So North Street is the very first turn. Yeah, you'll be, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay, cool. So we'll catch back up with Cameron in just a second once he makes that turn, because as soon as he makes that turn, he's going to start kind of paralleling what's going on there. So let's come back and take a look at KAKE's first alert Doppler as he kind of gets reorganized here. Very clear, bounded weak echo region. That's the circulation around the tornado. While Cameron's getting repositioned the lightning, we'll go ahead and take this full. And then we'll continue to write this along the county line here as that's moving from, you know, there you go, Pratt County, Stafford County. Okay, the circulation is very close to Neola now. So the tornado is pretty much leaving Pratt County at this point. Let's go over to the velocity data. We'll take a look at just...
There is a debris signature showing up that they're talking about in both the chat and from kind of what I'm also looking at as well.
Yep, you got it, using the Wichita radar. There you go. Yep, right there. We finally got a clear debris signature. Notice how this really kind of pops up. Oh, and this is getting bigger, unfortunately. So this is right along the Stafford County line, the Pratt County line over towards Neola. So now we have a confirmed debris signature. You got to remember, as the storm gets closer to Wichita, this is the Wichita radar, that will continue to look up into the storm, and the beam is lower to the ground. So you don't have to loft things nearly as much. But Neola, this is why you need to be in your shelters now. So we definitely have confirmation of a tornado on the ground at this point. Meteorologist Cameron Venable is in the process here in Iuka getting on an east-west road, which will take him back to K61. That'll allow him to kind of parallel the storm. But you can see it. Preston, you're okay. Neola, you're not. You should be sheltered already. And that will continue tracking to the northeast. So north of Turon now, feeling pretty good. Turon, you're going to get missed by this. But Sylvia, south of Sylvia, Arlington, this is your heads up. Partridge and even Hutch, as this continues to track towards you. And periodically, we're going to check on our downtown camera in Hutch. It's on Main Street. That's looking back to the southwest. As it gets closer, we're going to be looking for lightning. We're going to be looking for lowerings with that. So let's get you back over to the reflectivity mode of the radar at this point. Clearly defined hook at this point. Matching up with the velocity signature, matching up with the debris signature, and that tornado warning moving out of Pratt County and moving into Stafford County and pretty soon into Reno. So if you're in St. John, the city of Stafford, this tornado threat's not going to impact you. Even Preston, the tornado is going to stay north of you in Preston as this continues on. So let's recheck in now with meteorologist Cameron Venable. Cameron, looks like are you on 70 yet, or have you made that turn back to the north yet? Where are you?
Yeah, I am moving east, and it looks to be a dirt road. So we'll see how well this goes.
Okay. How long have you been on it?
Dirt road after storms could be kind of.
So we're moving
nice.
east here, and so far it looks like the road's in decent shape.
Yep, so far so good.
Okay, good, because most of the heavy rain was, I think, falling north of that location. So fingers crossed that that'll get you over to 61. Have you got any guess at how far away from 61 you are at this point?
let me see. This road is surprisingly active. Let me double check how far from 61 I am. It looks like I'd say like 5 or 6 miles.
Okay, all right. So it looks pretty good at this point. As far as the lightning off to your
Yep.
to your left, how's it looking for you?
It's pretty good. Let me move this around so you can better see that. So it's going to be off to the left. And let me roll the window down real quick so I can see better. I'm at a stop sign. I don't see a lowering, but then again, as we know, it's probably wrapped in rain.
Yeah.
But the lightning is definitely, I'd say, about the same frequency at this point. But I'll let you guys know if it changes.
Okay, great. Sounds good. As it looks like you're back on pavement now?
I think this is pavement. Yeah, I think it's pavement. Good.
There you go. Awesome. I got to admit, that was that a lightning flash I saw in the distance, or could that have been like a power line flash? Do you know?
I think it was lightning.
Okay.
I'll keep my eyes peeled. I think it was lightning.
Okay.
But if I see power flashes, I'll let you know.
Okay. All right. Let's get back over to KAKE's First Alert Doppler HD as he continues to get closer and closer to it. Let me go back over to the Wichita radar because it's getting close enough to the radar
Oh,
in
wow.
Wichita. That's kind of our. Oh, you said, oh, wow. What have you got?
It said, I was reading the Weather Service chat out of Dodge. They said the debris was lofted at 20,000 feet with the last TDS.
That is, yes, we are getting debris signatures now. Absolutely. And we're getting them off the Wichita radar in the vicinity of Neola. So, yeah, we confirmed the debris signatures early on. And honestly, these are some of the better debris signatures that we've seen from the thunderstorm. So there's your tornado. It is now in Stafford County. It's about a mile north of the county line. It is just to the south of Neola. So you got to stay hunkered down. As far as looking at the debris signatures at this point, let's go back over to Wichita. We're going to look at the ROHV. And yeah, very clear debris signature here. This is one of the strongest ones we've had. So we're finally getting, unfortunately, debris lofted high enough. And the storm is getting closer and closer to Wichita. So the debris doesn't have to get as high in the atmosphere in order for the beam to hit it. So that's one thing, working to the advantage of sensing this. But notice that debris signature has increased in size over the past about 5 minutes. So I can't stress enough, if you're around Neola, if you're in southeastern Stafford County, you need to already be sheltered at this point. And if you're in western Reno, if you're in southwest Reno, again, if you're anywhere from, Plevna, Turon, Sylvia, you need to be in your shelters at this point because we have confirmation of the tornado. We're going to, kind of play connect the dots. You can see the debris signature develop here. We're going to pick it up out of Pratt County. And so if it maintains that line, that's going to be really close to Plevna, to Abbeville, and potentially, heading on over into Hutch if this holds together. And that's why meteorologist Cameron Venable is right now in the process of getting back over onto 61. He's on 70, and that's going to intersect with 61, about 4 miles or so before you get to Preston. Still got that debris signature here, and this is what we're looking at. It's called ROHV, or correlation coefficient, or basically when you get down to the blues and everything, it's indication that a bunch of things, a bunch of shapes that are not similar are hidden by the radar beam. Obviously, if you've got a lot of raindrops, they're all going to have that same hamburger bun shape. And so the correlation is going to be like in this red here. It says, oh yeah, everything that the radar beam's hitting in terms of the dual polarization, pretty similar shape. When you start getting this, it says, you know what? No, there's very little correlation because there's a lot of dissimilar shapes. A lot of things are not matching each other. So when you get debris tumbling in the atmosphere, that is what's going to happen. And that's why we still see that debris signature right in the vicinity of Neola. Let's get back over to reflectivity mode of the radar out of Wichita. Base reflectivity and very clear. Bounded weak echo region signature also. Just about to move over Neola. Can't stress enough, you should have already been down in the shelters. Stay down there. But the tornado threat has left Pratt County. So it's now into Stafford County, the extreme southeast corner of the county, and it's about to move out of southeastern Stafford County into southwestern parts of Reno, western Reno, between Sylvia and to the north of Turon. So Cameron, are we getting close to 61 here? How you doing?
I think it should be fairly soon, yes. And it's still paved, so that's wonderful.
Okay, well, yeah, the fact you're this close, it should be at this point in time. We continue the tornado warning in effect for Reno County and also just the corner of Stafford County at this point. Technically, Pratt, you're still under the warning, but you can see that circulation live and how that's already moved out of the county at this point. Let's take Cameron full here for a second as he gets ready to get back on 61 here.
Get that off.
That there is confirmation from one of the employees that is chasing this current storm out of the Wichita office that it is a very large tornado that is on the ground right now.
Okay.
The storm in Reno. Yes, that is the storm moving out of Stafford going into Reno County. It is a very large tornado that's on the ground. It's confirmed by a spotter. Yes, it is a one of the off-duty National Weather Service employees that has spotted that tornado heading out of Stafford going into Reno County.
Yeah, you know what? Way out in the distance, I'm starting to notice. Yeah, I think those are power flashes. Yeah, and the off-duty meteorologist at the National Weather Service said extremely large tornado. That would line up. So basically, power flashes. As a tornado snaps power lines, you get a giant arc of electricity into the air. And usually it looks a little different than lightning. It's closer to the ground, and especially if it's more frequent. If it's going through like a lot of power poles, then it's pretty frequent. It's not that frequent right now. I'm just describing what power flashes look like. We'll see if we get some. I'm basically looking right at this thing. I am about to be on K61, and I'm going to be... Okay, I see a photo on Weather Service chat.
Yeah,
looks like
I see
a
it
large,
too. Yeah,
a large stovepipe.
Yeah, and that picture was just taken of that tornado just north of Preston. That is where that picture is coming in from and on the chat. So that is a pretty large tornado that they're looking at right now. Right now they're looking at that circulation is approximately 4 miles north of Turon, and there was a report that the power in Turon is out currently. So they do not have power in most of Turon right now, but circulation approximately 4 miles north of Turon, moving to the northeast. So we got a confirmed large tornado on the ground now, since we've had a few spotters kind of see this tornado. Could be a pretty dangerous situation, especially since it's dark out. We could be potentially seeing some of this being rain wrapped like it was earlier. So you won't be able to see this coming. You just need to be in your safe spot right now. Don't worry about like trying to see the tornado. Just get in your safe spot right now, because this could be a very life-threatening situation.
All right, looks like you're back on 61 now. Confirm that, Cameron?
Yep, that is true, Jeff.
Okay, all right, so now that you've gotten back on 61, I got to admit, it's going to be completely rain wrapped, whatever you see at this point. There is Cameron's position. So do you think here, and there's the tornado up there. The bounded weak echo region is just incredible. So yeah, it's completely wrapped in rain at this point. And I know you're coming up 61 to try to get back in contact with it. But just, compared to I got to admit, it doesn't look as electrical as what we've been seeing earlier this evening, which is honestly impressive to me. I figured it'd be lighting up like a Christmas tree right now.
Yeah, the lightning frequency is not nearly as exponential like it was earlier. There's definitely quite a bit of lightning. It does help with identifying the tornado. The photo I did see, it was pretty clear cut. So I'm wondering, they must be in the inflow notch, so they must be on the southeast side of the tornado. Because from my vantage point, I'm not seeing anything yet, but it's gonna be just north of me. Let me measure it out. It would be, it's still a ways away, about 8 miles to my northeast.
Yeah, and that's, yeah.
Maybe as I close at 5 miles.
Yeah, as you get closer, we'll see if, how that plays out. But yeah, just the way that photo was taken, I figured they had to have been almost due east of that in order to look into it.
Yeah.
Because there's been plenty of rain on the backside. But all right, it's in the process of rolling into Reno County now. So there's the Stafford County, Reno County line. So pretty soon the tornado is already through Neola at this point. So conditions are improving there. But Sylvia, to the south of Sylvia, Plevna, to the south of Plevna on 50, Abbeville, all need to be down in your shelters as the storm continues to track towards the northeast. And Cameron's in the process of coming back up and getting back in contact with it. But we go over to the base velocity, and again, very strong velocity indications here. We're going to roll that forward. Here you go over the past 30 minutes, and you'll see very quickly how this just continues to spit. You saw the photo. I mean, we got the photo of the storm with basically they took a long exposure to verify that the tornado was still on the ground. So can't emphasize enough that, yeah, if you're south of Sylvia, around Sylvia, Plevna down to the south, Abbeville, you need to get down to the shelter now because this tornado is still on the ground. It's still doing damage. Let's go over and take a look at some of the, see if we can get the, I'm sure, yep, there's still debris signature here with this. So let's go back over the past 30 minutes right there. So we're going to pick up the debris signature here in northern Pratt County. It's going to roll through Stafford and then wind up here. So watch it, peek, it's still there. So it's still spinning, it's still on the ground, and it's in Reno County. So Stafford County, the tornado has exited the county. It's now in Reno County. There's the debris signature on the Doppler radar. It's between Turon and Sylvia. So Turon is staying north of you, not going to impact Turon. You get south of Sylvia, that's where it is, and it's going to be tracking in the general direction of Plevna. Sylvia is probably staying south, but Plevna, Abbeville, and even potentially Hutch. And at some point, let's go over and just get an update looking off to the southwest for the camera. I got to admit, I'm surprised, considering how electrical that storm was earlier. It is not chucking a lot of lightning at this point.
No, it's really not showing any kind of like several power flashes or any kind of lightning flashes either. Every now and then you'll kind of see something like that where the whole screen seems to light up a little bit, but that's about as much as it does. It's every so often. It's not as frequent as it has been for a lot of the storms that we were tracking just earlier. However, it may be a little bit harder to see just from this angle. There are a lot of bright lights on the ground that is kind of reflecting off of those clouds up there. So it is kind of making it a little bit more difficult to really see some of that lightning, but you can see it every now and then, that upper half of the screen, like right there, that is when you get to see some of that lightning, but it is definitely not as electrical as some of these other storms that we were tracking just a little bit earlier, Jay.
Even though it's not electrical, it is still putting a tornado on the ground. There it is right there in western parts of Reno County now. So it's out of Pratt County, it's out of Stafford County, it's all in Reno County at this point. There's meteorologist Cameron Venable. He's coming up 61. He's getting closer to the storm. So from his location, you take where the tornado is currently, he is 7 miles off towards the south-southwest of where the tornado is at the current time. We know there's still a tornado going on because we can go over to, let's use the Wichita radar and take a look at the debris detection. There it is, that little blue dot, that is still debris being lofted. You see it, tracking it, comes up north of Preston, watch it form there, Neola, unfortunately, and then now south of Sylvia. As far as that tornado on the ground, south of Sylvia, we use the Doppler radar, and there's that debris signature. It is just 3 miles to the south. So that's going to be a really close call, but Plevna, you're kind of in the sights of this one, and so is Abbeville. So can't stress enough, you need to be down at the shelters. As far as 61, Turon, Langdon, over towards Arlington, probably going to stay north of you, but it's going to be near 50, near Plevna, near Abbeville, and then that's going to, continue to track eventually into Hutch. So if you're in Hutch, take those precautions now as this continues to roll your way. So, okay, let's go back over, use the Wichita radar. I'm going to use the base reflectivity, the classic hook echo right there. We'll track it up over the past 30 minutes. You can backtrack it into Pratt County. Right there, there it goes. So if it maintains that same line, that's going to be near Plevna, Abbeville, and then getting into Hutch on the west side and northwest side of Hutch. Could turn a little more to the right. So I would be in Abbeville, in Partridge, and in Hutchinson, and in South Hutch. Be prepared to take those tornado precautions as that continues to come down to you. So let's go back over to the velocity data at this point. Let's go to Dodge City. No, I'll tell you what, let's go back over the Wichita radar. We're close to Wichita now. So let's use the Wichita radar. We'll go back over to base velocity here. There you go. Yep, watch that continue to track right on up. So we go back, we take it in northern Pratt County, through Stafford near Neola, and just to the south of Sylvia. And this is continuing to grind towards the northeast now. Let's get back over to meteorologist Cameron Venable. Cameron, I know you're kind of paralleling it on 61 as you get closer and closer. What kind of update have you got for us?
I could see it. Let's see. It's going to be hard. You got to get the lightning right. Okay. But yeah, it's a pretty large tornado. It's going to be on the extreme left of our screen. If we get some lightning, you should be able to see it. But the lightning has been rather sporadic, but I did just see it. So maybe it isn't as wrapped in rain as we previously thought. But still, regardless, you don't need to see the tornado. You just need to take shelter. But it's easier for storm spotters to alert you guys, myself included, if we can indeed see the tornado. I'm getting a lot closer. I just saw it again. Let's see. Let me find a little off-road and just pull north so you guys can see this more clearly.
I'll tell you what, are you to Turon yet?
Yep.
Okay, so you're at Turon now?
Just passing in.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, I about to say, because basically you're almost like due south of it at this point.
Yep.
Okay. And as you continue up 61...
So if I can find a little road and just turn north. Let's see here. Because I'd like to show you guys if I can get it. Oh, this gets kind of treed up here.
All right, so we're going to continue to track.
But I'm not really planning to go too much more east yet.
Okay. Okay, so you're...
Because like you said, it almost looks like it's turning right.
Yeah, so I didn't know if you wanted to continue on maybe over towards Langdon or whatever, or I don't know. What are you thinking?
That is what I am thinking, yes.
Okay, so you're going to continue on 61 over towards Langdon.
Oh, here's North Burns Street. Here we go. Let's see if we can take a peek. Let me go right
All right, while he's doing that, let's double box here. While he's getting in position, that's the area circulations. This is still potent. Again, if you're around Sylvia, you should already be in your shelters. Plevna, shelters. Abbeville, shelters. Partridge, shelters. Even Hutch. I'd be already formulating the plan. Go ahead and get there. If anything, you can go to KAKE.com/weather now. You can watch the live stream. We're on there. We're on KAKE. We're on 10.5. So, you got plenty of ways you can watch this. But if you go to KAKE.com/weather now, that is our KAKE 10.5. This coverage, live coverage, is also available streaming. So if you're watching us like via satellite or via cable and you happen to lose satellite or cable, you can just go, you can take your iPad, as long as you got any kind of cellular connectivity, and you can bring up a browser, go to KAKE.com/weather now, and you can watch this live stream. So there's a way to continue the coverage for us. And I got to admit, okay, so Cameron's getting in position. Let's take him full. Cameron, walk us through what you're seeing here.
Okay, it's hard to see because the terrain starts to get a little more, but right there's a very large what looks to be a tornado just behind that hill. See it? See the right side?
I got to admit, we don't. We'll have to.
All right, lightning.
We got to wait for the lightning.
I need you to behave, lightning. Come on. I'm watching the feed so I can see if I can see it.
One of them has.
Because I can see it with my eyes.
One of them said they spotted a wedge tornado 4 to 5 miles south of Sylvia. That's kind of right where that tornado is. And a tornado emergency has just come out for Plevna right now. They are seeing that debris signature increase.
Okay, so tornado emergency has been issued for Plevna in Reno County. This basically, this tornado has been ongoing for quite some time. So it's going to stay south of Sylvia. It's going to head over towards Plevna. So Cameron, I got to admit, the lightning's not really helping us out at this point. Okay.
Did you see it?
You got to remember, we just see the quick lightning flashes, but it's hard to us to visualize it on the TV. I'm sure it's there. It's just obviously it is there. I'm having trouble. So I don't know. Do you need to, before it gets too far away from you, need to get back on 61 maybe and start heading north again?
Let me take a long exposure real quick.
Please do.
And I'll send you a pic of it.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Hold on one sec.
Okay, so while Cameron's doing that, let's go ahead and show KAKE's first alert Doppler. Let's take it full here. And then, so Cameron is in the process of using the lightning to see, you clearly see the bounded weak echo region, and they issued the tornado warning for Plevna, the tornado emergency, because we've confirmed this on the ground. I mean, we've been seeing this for quite a little while, so we're continuing to watch this as it continues to move through. Let's go over and take a look at the debris signature. So let's go over to the row HV. There it is, still very clear at this point. So it's tracking from Neola, south of Sylvia, and approaching Plevna at this point. So this still on the ground, tornado emergency for Plevna, and if this continues tracking in this direction, this is going to take it eventually over into Greater Hutch. So this is your first alert, Hutch, that you need to get ready to go ahead and get down into your shelter, because this is a very serious situation. Meteorologist Cameron Venable is between Turon and Langdon, is continuing to track on this as this is moving towards the northeast. So south of Sylvia, over towards Plevna, tornado still on the ground at this point, and it continues to roll. Cameron, have you got an update? So you confirmed with the long exposure, I'm hoping, what's going on? All right, Cameron apparently still doing that. So let's take me full screen once again. We're going to roll this forward here over the past 30 minutes. There is your bounded weak echo region. Very clear indication confirming that the tornado is still ongoing, and this is moving near Sylvia, and it's about to roll over Plevna. So you got to be down in your shelters. Plevna, Abbeville, over towards Partridge, and even towards Hutch. I know you're not under the tornado warning right now, Hutchinson, but just given the direction and movement of this is going to be a really close call, especially on the west side and the northwest side. So let's go ahead and take those tornado precautions now as that continues on down to the south. We're going to expand the view, and this is the storm that we're worried about, okay? We know there's other thunderstorms here around Newton over towards Marion, but this is the storm that will continue to roll across KAKE land that we're going to continue watching here. So as we zoom in here into Reno County, that is the storm of the moment from Sylvia over to Plevna. Let's continue to tighten up at this point, and that is rolling in. Let's get an update. Cameron, are you back with us yet?
Yeah, I'm with you guys, but the lightning is just not cooperating. But it is a large tornado. I would say very close to a wedge.
Okay, so getting back on 61 now so you can get back into the chase and kind of close the gap with it at this point. We can't emphasize enough. If you live anywhere in Reno County near US 50, from Sylvia to Plevna on over towards Abbeville to Partridge, you got to be down in your shelters. This is a life-threatening situation. The debris signature with this very clear. So we're going to continue to go over to the Wichita radar. Let's go to the row HV. This is the debris signature, and there you go. We can track that as that came across. And look at the debris signature, unfortunately, is only getting larger with this. So this is tracking between Sylvia and Plevna, unfortunately right over towards Plevna. So you've got to already be down in your shelters at this point. The debris signature just continues to grow. Now, what's surprising to me is from our camera in Hutch on Main Street, looking down to the southwest, okay, you know, occasionally we're getting some lightning flashes. So, so let's go over and take a look at the camera from Hutch. Anna has got that.
Yeah, I'm kind of just watching this every now and then. You'll see the whole sky just kind of light up momentarily, but it's not very frequent. A lot of it is just kind of, it happens for a moment and then it stops for a while. So we're not seeing a lot of that lightning, but we are pointed directly right where that storm is going to be rolling in if it is going to be reaching Hutch. So that is what we are kind of looking back towards. But you can see there are a lot of bright lights on the ground that is also reflecting back up on those clouds, making it a little bit harder for us to really see the lightning. But you can see every now and then it gets a little bit brighter. You can kind of see it right now. The lightning is actually picked up just right now. That was more lightning than we have seen in the past few minutes, really, just coming out of this camera. So looks like lightning is starting to increase as that storm is getting a little bit more closer and closer to Hutchinson. Jay?
Okay, and I tell you what, I'm going to keep with the debris signature here. Switch over and use just, I've got the stream on Max 2, so punch up Max 2 behind you. And I think you'll get, there you go, you'll get quicker updates with that. So let's go, and you can see now what's going on with the lightning frequency. So this is approaching Hutch right now. Okay, so we're going to have the live camera in Hutchinson that we're streaming here on Max 2, and we can zoom in on locations there and see what's going on as that continues to track on over. That debris signature continues to grow that is near Plevna, and that's why hopefully you've already been in your shelters at this point. Now, a couple of things are happening. Number one, the storm is getting closer and closer and closer to the city of Wichita. That's where the radar is. So the debris doesn't have to get as high in the atmosphere for it to be detected. So that's one reason why this signature is growing. Also because this is still a very large tornado pushing through Reno County that is in the process of rolling through Plevna now. So from Plevna over towards Abbeville, you've already got to be down into your shelters at this point. We got the live camera in Hutch. Again, this is the top, this is on Main Street, looking back over towards the southwest. And you're seeing that thunderstorm, it rolls in. So we'll see if the tornado itself eventually appears on the camera. Cameron, any update from your position? Where are you related to the storm now?
I am on K61, about 9 miles to the southwest of the large tornado. Periodically, I see it on the distance, and I mean, it looks like a wedge, and the only way to really discern it is the right side is very sharp, and that's where you see the designation that is a large tornado.
Now, have you made it to Langdon yet
so
on
it does
K61?
seem like not yet.
Okay, so yeah, just continue to boogie up K61 because that'll get you closer and closer and closer here. But yeah, right now this thing is grinding through Plevna as we speak, and unfortunately you got the big debris signature right on top of it. So unfortunately, kind of a worst case scenario right along US 50 here in Reno County from Plevna over towards Abbeville with this storm. Let's get back over to the velocity data. And we're going to look at the Wichita. We're going to look at, which way the wind's blowing inside the storm. And oh my goodness, this is very strong indications of a very violent tornado at this point in time. Yeah. So this continues to move near Plevna. It's going to look like roll right over the top of Plevna at this point. So tornado emergency in effect for Plevna and Reno County as this storm is going to continue tracking. So let's go back live. Tell you what, instead of double box with Max 2 right now. So put me in the key here, the box over next to me, put Max 2 in there, and then we'll put that back up. Because what we're going to do is in Max 2 currently is our Hutch camera live stream. So we're going to be keeping an eye on this thunderstorm from Hutch. So when you get a chance, set that up. I'd appreciate it. So here's what's moving towards Plevna right now. Large, damaging wedge tornado, rolling south of 50, rolling over towards Plevna. We'll continue to kind of back the view out a little bit. They've just updated the tornado warning. So they've moved that polygon. It does not include Hutch yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to be looking live from our camera back over the southwest. So there you go. So now we got live from Hutch, and we've got the live Doppler radar going on at the same time. So as this continues to get closer, we're going to use the lightning flashes to see if we can tell where the storm is. So right now the camera is pointed southwest, which is good because here's downtown. So that's the tornado over near Plevna at this point in time. Got very electrical storm. And as that continues to get closer and closer and closer to Hutch, we're probably going to be able to see it at some point in time here. Meteorologist Cameron Venables down here on 61 near Langdon, so we'll let him continue to roll and give us reports from his vantage point. But this is, unfortunately, very strong, very violent rotational signature that's pretty much on top of Plevna. And when we go over and take a look at correlation coefficient, this is debris detection. Where you see that drop to blue, that is debris detection. So it's lofting plenty of debris into the atmosphere right in the vicinity of Plevna at this point in time. So we're continuing on there. I see where meteorologist Frank Waugh is that you tweaking the camera? Yeah, so Frank is tweaking the camera here, looking for that tornado circulation for us. So, so Frank, you got a mic on, so you can join us with a play-by-play here. So Frank is in the process of using the camera to look for this circulation for us.
Yes, we're kind of looking to the southwest of Hutchinson at this point, kind of right past the water tower.
Say again?
All right, I think they're going to bring my mic up. I am on mic 12 if you are bringing me up.
He's on 12, mic 12.
All right, they say they're barely here. There we go. Maybe that's a little better. Yeah, we are looking to the southwest from downtown, kind of past the water tower there, and just kind of scanning the sky here and hoping if we can see something that we are going to see it, kind of in those lightning flashes.
And that's going to be our key, is we got to use the lightning to illuminate it. And the debris signature we're just sticking with because, unfortunately, we normally don't have one this persistent for this long. Like I said, a couple of things are working in our factor here, unfortunately, as it's getting closer and closer to the radar located over at Eisenhower. You don't have to loft the debris as high. And obviously, this has been a very strong to violent tornado to loft the debris in order to get it into the radar beam, and it continues to do that. So let's get back over to the velocity data at this point. So we go over to the Wichita radar. We're going to look at the base reflectivity here, and we're going to roll it over the past 30 minutes. There's that bounded weak echo region. Okay, we're not really seeing it as distinctly now, but let's check out the velocity. Remember, we still had that, very distinct, pattern with the debris. And yeah, unfortunately, that is still a very violent rotational signature going on right along US 50 in the vicinity of Plevna. You should have already been down in the shelters. Stay down there. And again, folks in Reno County, we are on KAKE.com/weather now. So if you're watching us via satellite, if you're watching us off antenna, you can go to KAKE.com/weather now. Take your iPad, as long as you got some kind of either a Wi-Fi connection, you got connection to the cellular network and you're getting data, you'll be able to watch this live stream. The tornado emergency continues for Reno County and Plevna based on that thunderstorm. Meteorologist Frank Waugh, he's driving the camera that you see that's located downtown over on Main Street, and we're looking to see if we can grab that funnel. And have we gotten any other reports out of the Weather Service in Wichita based on this storm?
No reports right now, but there is a couple of people typing, so they're probably going to be sending something momentarily.
All right, so Anna's going to keep us updated there. Cameron, have you got anything new from your perspective?
Well, on the left, there's a train that keeps blocking my sight, so it's hard to get a vantage point. But I passed Langdon. I'm almost to Arlington. I am due south of the tornado. If I had a nice view of the north, I could be able to verify if it's still in progress. But until this train breaks up, I don't got anything yet.
Okay, looks like that bounded weak echo region, that circulation is now getting to the north of US 50. So you can kind of make it out here. Let's get an updated velocity sweep. And again, Frank is going to stay on the downtown Hutch camera. As long as we got lightning here, hopefully we get a chance to get a glimpse of it with our live camera. Let's go back over to the base velocity, and we're going to roll it here. 30 minutes ago, watch it come up from the south. And yep, that's still incredible velocities, unfortunately, still indicative of a very large tornado in progress in the vicinity of Plevna, now crossing US 50. Let's take a look at the correlation coefficient and see as far as the debris signature goes. And okay, this is actually a little encouraging. the fact that the debris signature is not as pronounced. You notice how that big little blue area that we had? Notice it's not as pronounced now? That's a good thing. That's trending in the right direction. Means we're not getting quite as much debris lofted here. So hopefully this is part of a trend that we're seeing, but that's obviously very good news. And so now we're going to go back and look at the reflectivity mode. If there's still a tornado in progress, it's now going to be to the north of Plevna. This is north of US 50. So this continues to move on out at this point. And now we go back over to the velocity data. And there's your velocity scan. Waiting for the next sweep to come out because this is in the process of lifting north of 50. And based on the correlation coefficient, we weren't seeing as much debris lofted. So that was a very positive note. You're looking live. Meteorologist Frank Waugh is on the downtown camera, so he's bullseyed into the part of the storm where as it gets closer, if we're going to have a chance of actually seeing that funnel, seeing that vortex, he's going to have it. Hannah, has there been anything else from our chat with the National Weather Service?
No, there hasn't been anything else, but one of the emergency managers from Reno County is currently typing, so I'm wondering if there is still any confirmation of a tornado or if they're going to send in some potential damage from the tornado. It's just kind of, I'm waiting for them to potentially send their message pretty soon. Okay,
great. And there you go. The circulation is still basically right on or just on the north edge of 50. And I got to admit, based on the velocity, this is still a very rapidly rotating storm. Let's, stay down and shelter with those precautions. Go ahead.
There is a reported home destroyed north of Langdon, approximately 5 miles southwest of Plevna. Everyone is okay, which is some good news, and there are power lines down.
So you said 5 miles southwest of Plevna?
Yes.
Okay, so there's Plevna there. And you go 5 miles southwest, and then you go back and look at this radar velocity over the past 30 minutes, and you notice how that area of rotation just went right over that. So that confirms what we knew. We knew that there was a large tornado on the ground, so we now have it confirmed that it has done damage at this point. And we, based on this velocity, I would still say that we have a tornado on the ground, even though the debris signature has thankfully improved. This isn't nearly as pronounced as it was. And keep in mind, let's kind of roll this. We're going to go 30 minutes ago, and I'm going to zoom back in just to show you. Remember, we talked about that was near Plevna, 5 miles to the southwest. So back here, notice how that that correlates to that increase that we saw. So I'm going to zoom back in a little bit tighter once again, and you'll see that debris signature. So let's go back 5 miles southwest of Plevna. Here we are, Plevna. We're going to go about 5 miles to the southwest, and notice how the debris signature increased dramatically after it rolled over that location. So that's pretty likely that what you're seeing there is the confirmation of that damage to that home and that getting lofted into the atmosphere. We're not getting as strong a signature now in terms of the debris being lofted, but it could be because just it hasn't hit anything substantial to throw it back up, because the velocity data is still unfortunately very scary with this storm. Let's go back over to Wichita. We're going to go over to the base velocity. Again, this is the rotation. It's not as strong, but it is still strong enough to be producing a significant tornado. It is now to the north of 50. As I kind of back the view up, you'll notice how, because it's taken more of a turn to the northeast, they've adjusted the polygon to the north a little more. So instead of tracking straight northeast, it's kind of, made a slight little curve to the left there. So that new polygon, they've turned a little more to the left. It doesn't include the city of Hutchinson at this point, and it may be just kind of a close call to the northwest. But that circulation, fortunately, is starting to weaken. It doesn't mean that a new one can't take over. Remember how we've had a lot of cycling here with this thunderstorm. It'll produce a significant tornado, that one will wrap up, and then later a new circulation will take over. So I still think we got a tornado on the ground at this point. This is a very strong velocity signature, but at least it's trending downward in the nice direction that we're going here. So let me continue to zoom on in here, and we're going to look at both of these signatures at the same time. So there's the new one. That's the north of Plevna. That's the one that I'm going to go back over the past 30 minutes here just to show you, what we've been looking at in terms of, this is the storm of the moment here, but let's go back and look at the correlation coefficient, or basically this is what we use to confirm whether or not we've got debris lofted. So over the past 30 minutes, we zoom in here, and I'm going to take this all the way back into parts of, Stafford County. So we're going to kind of slide over here, and you'll notice it really picked up. So it came over near Neola, and then once it got apparently near that house strike, that's when, see the blue there, how it expanded in size? I really think that that correlated to that report of the house getting damaged southwest of Plevna, which is still probably some debris that's lofted here. Still probably very likely that we have the tornado on the ground between Plevna and Huntsville at this point. So if you're anywhere in and around Huntsville, you need to make sure that you stay down in your shelters. Cameron, how's your progress going over towards Abbeville?
I got great visibility, so I mean, if this thing is producing, it should be off to the left here. So I will shift the camera to the left. But I mean, I could clearly see the base on some of these lightning strikes.
How close to Abbeville are you now?
And we're looking right at this thing.
Any idea how close to Abbeville you are at this point?
There's a lot. Let me find out. I am, looks like about 2 or 3 miles.
Okay, great. So let us know when you get there. That's what's left of the circulation that came near Plevna. Still rotating, still definitely potential putting a tornado in terms of its vicinity over towards Huntsville at this point. While camera's kind of intercepting here, let's go back over, put the hutch camera back up there, yeah, because we got a lot more electrical activity with that one. As far as its distance from Huntsville, that area of circulation, it's only about 2 miles off to the east, so hopefully you stayed hunkered down here. As I put this in motion over the past 30 minutes, you will notice that as it's weakened, it's made a turn to the left, which again is not unusual at all. You get these tornadic circulations, they start to weaken, they make a turn more towards the left. So that's what's been happening here, was moving northeast, 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 northeast. Now it's finally starting to weaken, make a turn more due north. So that kind of put it in the vicinity of Huntsville. But what we're going to be watching is here to see if this is going to be the new circulation north of Abbeville. This is produced confirmed tornado earlier, damaged the home southwest of Plevna. The potential for the next tornado to form is right there. And if it does, that's going to be, still probably going to stay away from Hutch. But, it's close enough call where you're going to need to keep an eye on it. And if that does develop a tornado, it might be close enough for us to, to see that with our camera downtown here. Obviously very electrical. We're looking live from our Weather Now camera. And that other circulation near Huntsville continues to weaken. So this is some very good news there.
Hey Jay, I have a report from earlier from Stafford County. They said Stafford County has sustained damage to residences, power lines, and trees in the southeast part of the county. Law enforcement and fire units are currently trying to remove debris from a residence where individuals are trapped in the basement, but no injuries are reported so far.
And that makes, absolute perfect sense, because we've been tracking this as soon as it started ramping back up in western Pratt County. So just to remind you, this started south of 400, moved north of Cullison, near Iuka, near Neola, the damage near Plevna. So this is all kind of, connected here. And now that circulation is weakening. You know what? It's almost gone now. It's not completely gone, but it's awfully close. Could still have a small tornado in progress now to the east-northeast of Huntsville here in Reno County. And what we're going to be watching very carefully is right in here, north of Abbeville, to see if this is going to be a new circulation that is going to take over. So that is what's left of the tornado. Could still be producing a tornado, but trust me, this is a much smaller tornado if it's still ongoing than what we had earlier. Back over here, that is the suspect area that if something's going to pop up, that's going to be the next area to watch. So Reno County, all eyes are on you tonight. There's Hutch, there's South Hutch, and there's, A96 as it continues to snake on over towards the northwest here, and there's US 50. So we'll continue to see if this spins down. We're live from our downtown camera on Main Street in Hutchinson. We've had a lot of lightning, and we've been looking for bases here, and so far haven't done anything. Cameron, any update from you? I know you were getting close to Abbeville there. We'll catch up with Cameron again in a sec. Let me go over to the latest image. This is good.
So right now, Jay, we are looking
Frank.
due west out of Hutchinson. I think Cam's getting back in the truck at this point. Cam, you can let us know when you are. If you look kind of to the north, you can kind of see, kind of more of the base of this. As we look kind of almost due west, we are kind of looking into the rain and makes it a little more difficult to actually see anything from that camera in Hutchinson.
All right, and we continue to see, a weak area rotation. And the key is it's weak. But there it is, 4th Avenue, Langdon Road, just to the north. So this is northeast of Huntsville now, and it's northeast by about 2 miles. That's what's left of the circulation. So there could still be a weak tornado spinning down at this point. But the key is it's a weak tornado. It's not nearly anything like it was earlier. We can kind of back the view out a little bit here, and that continues to weaken. So our big question mark, is this going to be the new circulation that takes over? Right now, it is not super organized. We've had things organized fairly quickly, but it's not super organized right now, and we're going to continue to watch this. Let's go back over to meteorologist Cameron Venable. Cameron, you back in the car yet?
Yeah, I'm back in the car. I was talking with some other chasers, and
Okay.
just as we finished our conversation, it looks just north of Abbeville. It looks like a tornado in progress.
Okay.
I'm gonna see if I can get north,
Okay.
and
So
I'll let you guys know. I'm gonna get you a view.
okay. So you actually see that?
Yes,
Okay.
Yep.
So Cameron,
it's also wrapped pretty good.
meteorologist Cameron Venable is reporting a tornado in progress north of Abbeville. So let's go over and look at the reflectivity, and looks like it's okay. So it's due north. I got to admit, not a real strong radar signature here, but Cameron's the one who says he sees it, and this would be associated with the part of the storm that we were going to see if it reorganizes and would be the next circulation. So this is where Cameron is looking up in here, and Cameron's telling us he sees a tornado at this point, and it's going to be taking off kind of towards the northeast. So if it does continue, that's going to take it over from Adams Corner, probably close to Nickerson,
right
but probably
behind
going to
those
stay,
trees.
south and southeast of Nickerson, between Nickerson and Willowbend, as that's going to continue tracking over north of Hutch. So in the city of Hutch itself, looks like these particular circulations that are ginning up, they're going to miss Hutch. So you're not going to be impacted by this one. So there's Cameron. He's in the process of trying to intercept that for us and give us some additional data as that continues tracking across Reno County. So Reno County, I mean, this is it. This is the storm in the whole KAKE land that we're concerned about. Sure, you got some thunderstorms over here, northern Chase County and Marion County. Those are not severe. Saline County, a little tiny shower rolling up south of Salina here over towards Bridgeport, but that's nothing. This storm has a history of producing multiple tornadoes across Pratt County, across Stafford County, and into Reno County. We've had confirmed damage. There are rescues in progress in southeastern Stafford County from this storm producing a tornado. Also report confirmed of a home that was either heavily damaged or destroyed about 5 miles to the southwest of Plevna with this storm as that rolls through Reno County. And Cameron Venable saying he believes he has a tornado north of Abbeville. This would be to the west of Adams Corner. Cameron, you still have eyes on that? What do you see it now?
I saw a cone. Hold on. Let me park for a sec. Saw what looked to be a cone funnel. There's also a large area of rain wrapping around it, so it's hard to see visibility-wise, but it's going to be just to the right of that sign. So let me zoom in a little bit so you can see off on the distance. And I'm running, well, actually, I guess I could technically go north still, but I'm about to run into 50 right here, so I could probably go just north of 50. I'm on South Sago Road, so I'm gonna start jogging north again. I'll tell you guys if I see a better view of it, but it looked possibly like a brief tornado because I'm not seeing it at the current time. but I was with some other storm chasers. We all spotted it right at the same time. So I have a feeling we might have had a brief tornado.
Okay. All right, Cameron. So this is what Cameron's looking at right here. And okay, is this going to reorganize? Is this going to be the next area? Here's what's left. This tornado's gone now. This is the one that did the damage south of Plevna. Watch it do the hook to the left. Comes up, hooks to the left, and is gone. Comes up, hooks to the left, and is gone. So that one we're done with. We're done with the one north of Huntsville. And now the big question is, are we going to get another tornado? Cameron says he's already probably had one that, again, Cameron, you said it's already gone, right? That one's already gone, correct?
Yeah, I'm not seeing it anymore.
Okay.
It very briefly looked like a cone, looked like some contact toward the ground, but it's also probably rain wrapped because I can see the rain wrapping around the larger circulation, the mesocyclone. So it might have just wrapped in the rain, and that's why I can't see it anymore.
Okay. And so we still
Jay,
can see.
we are
Go
getting
ahead.
more reports of Reno County sending units to Plevna, and also hearing of a fair amount of power lines down on roads of kind of units getting stopped and that sort of thing because of that, even maybe wire and fences in the road as well. So if people are in that area, for sure you need to be aware that you may be encountering power lines down. We are still looking kind of almost due west from our camera on top of the First National Bank Hutch. So that's kind of that camera that you are seeing there, kind of adjusting the brightness a little bit, trying to clean it up a little bit so we can see the horizon. But you'll notice, though, that the lightning density in this has decreased quite a bit as we look to the west.
Okay. Also, and Frank's over in position 21, so we can shoot him on camera too when we go in and out of him. So, all right, we still continue the tornado warning for Reno County and Rice County. That is until 1 in the morning for what may get reorganized here. So we'll see if this redevelops. Earlier, meteorologist Cameron Venable saying that they probably had a brief tornado produced from this part of the thunderstorm, and that continues to track over towards Nickerson. So if you want to play it safe, take those tornado precautions at this point. So if you're in and around Nickerson, hey, go ahead and seek shelter. We don't have we don't believe we have a tornado in progress at this point. We'll go back over to the the correlation coefficient. This is what we use for debris detection, and we're not really seeing any kind of debris lofted at this point in time. So we're feeling pretty good. We're not out of the woods yet, because we still are in an environment that we're concerned about has enough juice and enough spin to continue a tornado threat. And the good news is I don't really see a whole lot of very nice organization here. And hopefully this trend will continue. Pretty easy to see what we had, that tornado that was near Plevna. See how that rolled out there? That's gone. We're done with that. And so Cameron said that there was, probably a potential brief touchdown here north of Abbeville. Can kind of make out where that happened there. But we're not really seeing super organization. But if you're in and around Nickerson, let's go ahead and play it safe at this point. And we're going to continue the tornado warning until it goes. And has there been any additional reports coming out of the Weather Service office?
No, there hasn't been any reports coming out, but they are saying that this storm is slowly moving towards an area that's less favorable for tornadoes. They're saying once it kind of reaches McPherson County, that's where it really starts to drop off. So hopefully once it starts to get in that area, we're going to start to see that storm kind of die down a little bit more and kind of hopefully see this stop spinning up tornadoes. Okay, great. I'll tell you what, when you get a chance to, why don't you update the watch map for us so we can give everybody just kind of a view of where we are, when we think the times are going to these run out. So you're watching continuous coverage for a tornado warning that continues for Reno County and also just for parts of Rice County. It does include the city of Sterling and down to the south. Let's get an update from Cameron. Cameron, why don't you give us a position update and what we're seeing from your vantage point? Oh, I guess Cameron's got to go. I'm sorry, I guess I got to get back to the car. Not a problem, Cameron.
I'm just north of US 50, still on South Sago Street. So I'm looking more towards Nickerson now. And, there's definitely some sort of lowering going on. There, you can see wrapping rain bands, but I'm not really seeing a defined lowering at the moment. So that is good news. But I think very briefly there might have been a tornado just as it passed north of Abbeville. And I mean very brief. One of the more short-lived ones today.
And basically, I see you along 50. So are you going to stay along 50, or what's your plan from here, Cameron?
I think I might. Yeah, that's a tough call. I could go north and then just kind of follow it, but then again, Nickerson brings me back to Hutchinson, so I wonder if I should just go east to Hutch and then see how it is after that. But the road network's kind of like in a circle at this point.
Okay. All right. Well, let us know what you decide. So meteorologist Cameron Venables on that. I want to go back over to Hannah Dennis with just an update of the counties that are still currently under the tornado watch. Hannah?
Yeah, a lot of them have been canceled, but you can still see there is still a sliver of counties out there still under that tornado watch until 1 a.m. However, once we start seeing those storms really start to push past, you can see right near this line, like we're watching McPherson County, once it starts pushing into there, we're probably going to start seeing more in these counties starting to drop off of this watch as we're going a little bit more into tonight. So hopefully this will clean up even more, but we still have that tornado watch in effect for a handful of counties until 1 a.m. this morning. Jay?
All right, thanks a lot. And as we go back live to KAKE's First Alert Doppler HD, the tornado warning is basically for what's south of Nickerson, if this is going to produce another tornado. Cameron Venables down here in Abbeville had a little brief tornado from that. Oh, yeah, go ahead. What you got, Hannah?
A report just kind of came in that in Plevna, several homes destroyed, but no reports of injuries right now. But there has been several, homes destroyed. So it's something really kind of went through there, definitely caused some damage. So we're going to be probably hearing about more reports about that as we're going more into today, especially once the sun gets up.
Well, and then that also correlates with what we were seeing with the debris detection. We noticed as that was rolling out of Stafford County and into Reno County through Plevna, we had a very distinct and persistent debris signature for that entire path, and it got even bigger and brighter as that got to Plevna, which unfortunately is probably debris from those homes that have been heavily damaged here. So thank you for that, Hannah. Appreciate it. And now we continue tracking the tornado warning for Reno County, including Nickerson, and for Rice County, including Sterling. Once this storm continues out of this polygon, unless something new develops that we have not seen, they're probably going to start letting it go at that point. It's 12:31. The watch is set to expire at 1 a.m. Let's get you back over and take a look at some of the velocity data here. So what we're going to do is we're going to watch. Here we go. Let's switch over to the Wichita radar. We're going to look at that base velocity of 0.5 degrees. Well, didn't like my click there, did it? No. I wonder why it's doing that. Okay, so let's go over to base velocity here. Now we're going to go back up to part of the storm I'm concerned about. Here we go. Let's get you around Nickerson and around Adams Corner here. Don't see any really strong rotation at this point. Again, the tornado that did the damage, watch it over the past 30 minutes. It's gone. That's not going to redevelop. Meteorologist Cameron Venable was near Abbeville in 50, reported a brief touchdown. So even that circulation that's approaching Nickerson has spun down. So we're in great shape right now. Everything is looking really good. And even the lightning strikes have gone down. Frank, I noticed you got the Hutch camera over there behind you.
Yeah, we've kind of turned the camera more kind of to the west-northwest at this point as we're kind of just looking north of due west out of Hutchinson. And yeah, you will notice that the amount of lightning in this has dropped off tremendously. We are seeing kind of more, let me turn off my alarm that was supposed to wake me up this morning.
I really appreciate you joining us, Frank, by the way.
Anytime, anytime. But yeah, you can see that the lightning has dropped off tremendously. We're kind of looking kind of west-northwest. I know it's sometimes difficult to kind of get your bearings when we're looking at a camera like this at dark, but you are seeing maybe a little more lightning to the northwest of Hutchinson, and once in a while you can kind of see the rain-free base there kind of to the north and east, but yeah, not looking nearly as intense as it once was when it comes to those lightning strikes.
All right, and fortunately, I mean, it looks like the city of Hutchinson itself is going to be spared anything to do with this particular storm. So let's get back over to KAKE's First Alert Doppler as we continue tracking that tornado warning. Here we go 30 minutes ago. I'm going to roll that into motion for you. And I got to admit, we're very happy with what we're seeing in terms of what's changing here. And what is changing is the fact that we're just, okay, let's go forward here. There we go. Looking good. We recenter this. Back down to the north. There you go. So if anything is going to happen, and the key is if, we're going to watch here in the vicinity of Nickerson. So if you're in Nickerson, just play it safe for a few more minutes. Let the storm roll to the north of you, and then we're going to be done with it. Don't see any kind of strong circulation, but just because earlier this kind of teased it, and earlier this part of the thunderstorm is where Cameron reported a brief tornado. We're just erring on the side of caution at this point. Cameron, are you back in the car? You got anything you want to add here? Okay.
Alsego Road, just venture north to try to take a peek toward the Nickerson storm. Unfortunately, like you said, the lightning is not nearly as frequent, so it's harder to get a good view of structure. But yeah, I'm behind it. So if it tries anything, I should be able to let you guys know.
Well, the good news too is like you're seeing a lot less lightning activity. That also would tend to be a weakening trend of the storm.
Yes, that is 100% correct.
Okay, so everything, I got to admit, let's face it, we're increasingly feeling better about what we're seeing in Reno County and in Rice County now. All right, thank you. We'll rejoin Cameron here in a second.
It's
okay.
So much better.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Cameron, thanks a lot. So let's go back over here. We'll expand the view once again.
Jay, we are getting word
ahead,
from
Frank.
the National Weather Service. They are going to go ahead and cancel that warning.
Okay.
They're also kind of agreeing that this thing has really kind of spun down and not quite the threat that it once was.
That's fantastic. And just to kind of get you updated, we do have other thunderstorms in progress here. Marion County, Northern Chase, not severe. These storms weakening. And they canceled it. So the polygon even disappeared off the screen here. Thank you, Frank, for that update. So at this point, we're going to stop the coverage. Should we get new severe thunderstorm warnings? Should we get new tornado warnings? Obviously, we will get back on this. So thank you for joining us tonight. Keep it on KAKE. We'll keep you updated.
We now join our program already in progress.